(6:30 de la mañana), Trump, Putin, Putin, Trump, la fotografía, Trump dice cosas malas de Putin, Putin se emputa y mata más gente. Discúlpenme, honestamente, he estado esperando todo el fin de semana para solamente hacer esto. Me odio, me odio, me odio absolutamente por esto. Bienvenidos al Casino del Tío Salo. Por supuesto, vamos a platicar de absolutamente todas las cosas que son interesantes en este momento. Antes de irnos ese famoso nadie me preguntó de después, pero antes de eso vamos a analizar algunas cosillas por acá. Vamos a platicar de Trump contra Putin, de qué es lo que está pasando en esta gran guerra con Ucrania. De ahí vamos a ir al chantaje de la inteligencia artificial. Vamos a cerrar o tal vez abrir con Macron, porque es muy importante, en mi opinión, platicar sobre esto. Y de ahí nos vamos al Casino del Tío Salo, por supuesto, con el tío Alex, con el tío Farhan, para poder analizar cómo van los criptomercados. Recuerden, el día de hoy es una día de fiestas en Estados Unidos. Se preguntarán, pero Alejandro, ¿por qué estás entonces trabajando? Porque todos los días son fiesta para mí. Entonces, además, los mercados de cripto están abiertos. Son una excelente excusa para hacerlo. Y además, después los veo para un nadie me preguntó, por supuesto. Vamos a empezar con esto. Yo creo que antes de empezar con la noticia de Trump, Trump, Putin, Putin, Trump, 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 Putin, deberíamos empezar con la noticia falsa de Emmanuel Macron. Ahorita hay un video esparciéndose en línea, y es muy importante que sepamos, esto es completamente falso, donde ves a Macron que alguien le tira un tortazo, le da un empujón en la cara, un puñetazo, una cachetada, cualquier tipo de esas cosas, y sale de ahí que todo el mundo empezó a decir que la esposa de Macron, Brigitte Macron, fue la que le pegó. Y no es cierto, Macron no tiene esposa. Macron está casado con un cabrón que tiene 80 años o 90 años, que se hace pasar por mujer. Pero en realidad el que le pegó fue su esposo. Entonces, muy importante poder poner esto en la mesa porque esto afecta económicamente a nadie, pero es importante que todos sepan que por alguna razón Emmanuel Macron está casado con un cabrón que es más viejo que él, que literalmente era su profesor antes, y no le pegó una mujer, le pegó un hombre. Y creo que está en todo su derecho esta pelea entre dos dudes, buenísima, excelente. Solamente para que no te vean la cara, información falsa. Es muy importante para, güey, estoy del lado de las noticias y de los gobiernos. Necesitamos que la información no sea falsa. Esta no es información falsa y ahora saben ustedes que Emmanuel Macron está casado con un hombre, como se debe. No veo qué tiene de malo. Está bien. No esparzamos rumores mentirosos de que una mujer le pegó a Emmanuel Macron o que está su esposa si estuviera casado con una mujer. Ridículo. No sean ridículos. No sean ridículos. Con esa noticia abrimos. De ahí vamos a Trump contra Putin. La razón por la que esto está sonando es porque Trump Putin, pues es el encabezado. 6:33 de la mañana, Trump Putin, la razón por la que se están peleando Trump y Putin obviamente están hablando de las negociaciones de paz entre Ucrania y Rusia. A Estados Unidos le interesa una cosa, ¿alguien sabe qué es? Todos esos deliciosos minerales que tienen en Ucrania. Es todo lo que necesitamos, solamente todos esos minerales, recursos y también, si se puede, algo de acceso al mar por ese lado. Es todo lo que buscamos, es todo lo que buscamos. Estados Unidos está intentando lograr la paz para poder quedarse con todo, para salvar la vida de millones de personas. Es lo que es la prioridad número uno y definitivamente no es el dinero, pero vamos a platicar del dinero, ¿no? Estados Unidos quiere eso. Es lo que quiere hacer. Donald Trump quiere una victoria, quiere poder contarle al mundo, vean cuánto oro, cuánto cobalto, güey, no sabes ni qué hay en Ucrania. Correcto. Pero Trump quiere decirle a todo el mundo las buenas noticias, que acabó la guerra en Ucrania, que dejaron de morir personas. Eso es todo, por cierto, fuera de todo el desmadre que siempre platicamos y hacemos, quiero que sea claro que para mí no debería haber ninguna guerra en el 2025. Se me hace la cosa más pendeja del planeta y no lo apoyo. No me importa cuál excusa haya detrás de ahí. Es que ellos empezaron hace 150. Me vale pito. Yo no quiero que la gente se muera por estupideces que ni siquiera tienen sentido alguno. Y ahora, esto que nos venden, este final de la guerra, es para Trump ponerse la medalla de, vean, tenemos este tratado con Ucrania. Obviamente Putin tiene un interés de quedarse con ciertos territorios, pero ya tiene los territorios. Entonces, ¿cuál es la prisa de Putin? ¿Qué le vas a ofrecer de más para poder hacerlo parar? Como sea, habían pensado que estaban llegando a, una, a una resolución de todos estos problemas que estaban sobre la mesa y en la fotografía, y aparentemente no. Trump sale, lo están entrevistando, le están preguntando, güey, ¿qué pasó con el final de la guerra con esto? Y dice, no, es que Putin ahora es otro hombre, creo que se volvió loco, ya no es el mismo, está matando a mucha gente. Y ahora, ¿por qué viene todo esto? Porque me parece que Rusia acaba de hacer el bombardeo más grande a través de drones en Ucrania que hemos visto en toda la guerra, justamente cuando se está hablando de un alto al fuego, y por ende esto va a continuar. Vamos a ver hasta cuándo, nada que podamos hacer, ¿no? Ahora sí que antes me frustraba muy cabrón con esto de los conflictos bélicos y las guerras y la gente que se va a morir. Yo diría, lo único que podemos hacer es cuando nuestros países nos digan, nos vamos a la guerra por la soberanía, la dignidad, el beneficio, el bienestar y todas estas cosas. Corre, corre, sal corriendo. No te quedes en tu país, que se vayan a pelear todos por que se vayan a tomar por culo. Vámonos. No vale la pena nunca pelear una guerra por nadie, porque no lo estás haciendo por tu familia, ni por lo están haciendo simplemente para robarse cosas, que es lo más patético de todo, donde a mí me duele más esta pérdida de vida, ¿no? Igual que espero que ustedes también, honestamente, porque es una mega culerada todo esto que está ocurriendo en el mundo. Ahora, quiero ponerles algo interesante enfrente. Ah, no. Quería platicar con ustedes rapidísimo de esto, antes de que vengan Alex y Farhan rapidísimo. Este fin de semana estaba viendo un podcast de un güey, ya saben que me encanta lo de los extraterrestres, siempre estoy ahí metido en el les creo, no les creo, que son naves espaciales, cosas así. Y lo que he estado notando, y les he contado 1000 veces, en estos podcasts de donde estos güeyes que trabajan, ponte tú, todos los güeyes que están invitando a gente que habla, whistleblowers, ¿no? A los sopladores, a los que vienen y dicen todas las cosas que el gobierno está haciendo, ¿no? Esos podcasts. No estoy hablando, también pasa en Joe Rogan, pasa en todos los podcasts, pero sobre todo en estos, donde tienen invitados que hablan de armas, hablan de guerra, hablan de extraterrestres, un poco más edgy, ¿no? Y ahí están alimentando a toda la banda que pueden, pero absolutamente toda la banda que pueden, de gente que trabaja en el gobierno. Entonces, esta gente, estas plantas que trabajan en el gobierno van a estos podcasts para poder esparcir información falsa bajo pretender que, güey, yo estoy aquí diciéndote todas las cosas que están haciendo, yo soy el bueno de la historia, deberías de creerme, por ende, todo lo que te estoy diciendo es real y no es lo que yo quiero, bueno, los que mis jefes quieren que creas, ¿no? Y siempre los veo y siempre tengo siempre me tengo que echar para atrás, echarme un poco para atrás y voltear a ver esto y decir, ok, ¿dónde me está mintiendo? ¿Qué me está vendiendo? ¿En dónde trabaja? ¿A quién es leal? Etcétera. Total, para no hacerles el cuento largo. Este tío, es la primera vez que veo este podcast, un chavo bastante divertido y bastante inteligente, el que está entrevistándolo. Y este güey tiene una empresa que lo que está haciendo efectivamente es poder rastrear lo que está creando es tecnología para poder rastrear objetos no identificados que están volando, ¿ok? Y empieza a platicar, no, es que yo trabajo con el gobierno de Estados Unidos, nos recortaron tantito el funding, estamos intentando hacer esto, tenemos esta tecnología, podemos ver extraterrestres, los podemos ver con ciertos radares, con ciertos sonars, con ciertas diferentes cosas, pero también con el ojo humano no es tan fácil verlos. Empieza a explicar todo esto, cuántos tipos de naves existen, existe el jellyfish, existe la capsulita, existe el huevo, existe esto, y luego pone como, siempre tienen que agregar un misterio, no, es que no te puedo decir todo lo que sabemos, hay unos que no te puedo contar pero esto sí, pero no de los otros que son más secretos, ¿no? Es de, güey, todo lo que estás diciendo se supone que es secreto, pero bueno, digamos que nos la tragamos. Algo que se me hizo muy interesante, porque personalmente viendo esto, claramente hay un esfuerzo del gobierno de Estados Unidos para hacernos creer que estos son extraterrestres, ¿no? Eso a mí me mata porque siento que no hay extraterrestres, por ende, si el gobierno me está diciendo que hay extraterrestres, tenemos contacto, tenemos los cuerpos, es lo primero que voy a hacer es no creerles, porque ¿por qué haría esa estupidez? ¿No? O sea, soy estúpido, pero no tan estúpido. Entonces, este tío que está creando toda esta tecnología y que tiene todas estas cosas, ahora creó un documental también, no se ve falso, es otro pedo. Bueno, no falso, se ve muy mal hecho. Ahí, pero eso ya es mi parte de productor. Lo odio. Eh, Tienen un documental. Cuando toda esta gente que se trata de soplar de los extraterrestres tienen documentales, por lo general hacen todo súper dramático y cuando hacen eso a mí personalmente me saca y es de, ok, ya no quiero nada que ver contigo. Pero algo que me llamó la atención muy cabrón de esto es algo que yo nunca había visto. A este güey se le salió 2 veces y quiero que me digan qué piensan de esto. Se le salió 2 veces decir que están tocándole los huevos a esas naves. O sea, con todas historias separadas en diferentes tiempos, donde él no se dio cuenta de lo que estaba diciendo. Y el entrevistador le dice, ¿cómo estás provocando estas cosas? Y el güey, no. Y por cierto, si alguien lo va a hacer en la calle, en la realidad, van a ser arrestados instantáneamente porque no puedes dispararle a no sé qué, bla, bla, bla. Y luego te saca toda la regla y el gobierno de Estados Unidos va a venir a arrestarte. Pero él acaba de confesar un crimen gigantesco que él dijo, yo lo estoy haciendo por mí mismo, sin el gobierno, sin nadie, ¿no? Y luego dice, sí, estábamos atacando a esta nave y le estamos picando los huevos. Y no se dio cuenta de eso. Esa es la primera cosa que me di cuenta, ¿no? E interesante lo que dice, que atacan, que cuando vas a atacar a estas cosas, antes de que las ataques, saben cómo los vas a atacar y te detienen. Lo que los hace pensar que eh, saben lo que están pensando. Personalmente, si estas máquinas llegan a existir, yo creo que sería más fácil explicar, porque claramente no se adhieren, y esto es lo que habíamos platicado de la física moderna, que no tiene nuestro conocimiento en física ha sido detenido por cuántas décadas, no existe innovación, nos hemos quedado en los mismos lugares, no hemos avanzado para nada, nunca vamos a poder salir del planeta con la física como la conocemos al día de hoy, esas reglas que literalmente no puedes doblar según todo esto, con esa física que nunca vamos a salir adelante, es imposible entender esto, total. Pero si jugamos a la otra, a que no entendemos bastantes cosas que tal vez alguien tenga las fórmulas de, y es como yo lo veo, podrías viajar a través del tiempo también. No solamente el espacio y el tiempo están conectados, son la misma cosa. Eh, y lo que se me hace interesante es, tal vez lo que hacen es atacan y estos tíos regresan antes del ataque a detenerlo. Eso tendría también sentido. Ahora, de que se pueden leer mentes también, que es otra cosa que me vuela la cabeza, eso también se puede. Pero yo nunca había visto uno de estos güeyes decir que están atacando a estas cosas. Nunca. Y la única vez que se salió de su personajito, este mamón, fue las 2 veces que dijo, no, sí, en esta estábamos haciéndole esto también. Y es de, ok, se me hizo interesante porque entonces, si no sabemos qué son, no son de ellos porque los están atacando. ¿Qué mierdas? ¿Alguien puede explicarme? Si alguien tiene alguna teoría en esto, por favor, díganme. Se me hace muy interesante. Nunca había visto esto en mi vida, donde se le saliera a alguien. Tal vez olvídate toda la información, pero de que nos digan, estamos atacando estas cosas. Bastante entretenido. Y vamos a cerrar esto con el chantaje de la inteligencia artificial antes de ir con Alex por acá. Y el chantaje de la inteligencia artificial viene acá. Aparentemente, eso está bastante divertido. Se los voy a poner acá un segundo. ¿Dónde estamos? ¿Dónde estamos? ¿Dónde estamos? Ok, aquí. Presentar, share screen. Aparentemente, Amazon invirtió en una empresa de AI que intentó chantajear a ingenieros que lo querían sacar de en línea. Ahora, el artículo pone que esto fue una prueba a propósito y que lo pusieron en un escenario donde lo pueden buscar acá. Les estoy poniendo solamente esto para que vean el título y ya, honestamente, nada más. Que inteligencia artificial, ponte tú, lo que hicieron fue crearon el escenario de que el programador que lo estaba programando estaba a punto de sacarlo de ser en línea y habían creado un entorno donde el programador tenía también conectado su correo a esto, donde él estaba teniendo ¿cómo se dice? Un romance con alguien fuera de su matrimonio. Entonces estaba poniendo el cuerno a su esposa. Y aparentemente cuando lo intentaron apagar, la máquina chantajeó al programador y le dijo, güey, ¿cómo te atreves? Lo que voy a hacer es, lo que va a pasar en estos momentos es, voy a decirle a tu mujer lo que estás haciendo, así que no me desconectes. Si te atreves a desconectarme, esto es lo que va a pasar. Muy interesante, en mi opinión, honestamente. No puedo decir que no. Ahora, para mí, la razón por la que estamos digitalizando todo y que queremos que absolutamente todo quede en línea y que, por cierto, ya tiene una gran información y cantidad de información brutal en esto, es porque lo mismo que pasa con Jeffrey Epstein, con todos estos tíos, los chantajes, ¿no? Como Puff Daddy, que tienen a todas las celebridades con todas sus porquerías haciendo estas cosas y con eso es de, güey, te atreves a decir algo y voy a sacar esto, dame $100 millones, voy a sacar el otro, etcétera. Estos buenos chantajes gubernamentales, así a nivel potente, son chantajes del bienestar, en Estados Unidos así les llamamos. Eh, pues estos chantajes del bienestar, tíos, es lo que quieren usar en contra de toda la población. Y es lo que hacen en realidad. Normalmente cuando tienes algo que se sale de control, si tienes una nueva manera de hacer energía sin que cueste un centavo, si tienes un nuevo vehículo como el coche de agua, todo esto, no solamente te tienen que te van a matar, lo primero que van a hacer es intentar destruirte la vida a través de todas estas cosas, con todas estas mentiras, etcétera. Así que muy claramente lo que yo me quedo con este experimento de inteligencia artificial es que la inteligencia artificial está haciendo justamente lo que nuestros divinos políticos y aparte gente poderosa encantada, encargada de todo el mundo están haciendo. Muy divertido. Ese buen chantaje, bien aprendido por la máquina, claramente fue instituido por alguien. No creo que la máquina de la nada se vuelva mala. Y sobre todo si te están contando, ¿no? Esto es donde viene el palo más grande, donde una empresa de inteligencia artificial te está contando, ¿no? Que sobre todo su trabajo es hacer dinero. Te está contando de un problema que se ve muy oscuro. Personalmente, yo no creo que la inteligencia artificial vaya a ser como Terminator y todo eso. Yo creo que nos va a llevar a una época de productividad gigantesca en los próximos años como seres humanos y de ahí se va a poner interesante la cosa, lo hemos platicado antes, pero yo creo que nos están vendiendo más el lado malo. El lado malo viene del lado de las personas, que es lo que siempre ha pasado y lo que platicamos con la guerra de Putin, etcétera. Pero, en fin, ahí lo tienen. Si tienen teorías de esto, por favor, de por qué a este güey se le salió que los estamos toreando y qué son si los estamos toreando. Porque definitivamente no son extraterrestres. ¿Qué son y por qué los estamos toreando? ¿Son cosas de China? ¿Son cosas de otros países? Entre todos nosotros tenemos ese tipo de cosas. Tal vez, no digo que no. Me interesa mucho saber qué opinan también del chantaje de la inteligencia artificial. ¿Creen que sea algo que vamos a empezar a ver más comúnmente en todos lados? Yo no creo que sea la inteligencia artificial, yo creo que son nuestros líderes supremos. Vayamos a empezar con esto, damas y caballeros, los quiero traer. Por cierto, los quiero invitar a todos ustedes, si no se rifan, vamos a analizar Bitcoin en este momento y todos los precios de todo lo que nos pidan acá en el E-Trading Academy. Felicidades a todo el mundo. Los quiero invitar a nuestro Discord. Es absolutamente gratuito, tíos. Vengan a darse unas... Ay, cabrón. Vengan a darse una vuelta a nuestro Discord y acá se las voy a poner fácil. Aquí está el enlace en la parte de abajo, ahorita se los voy a poner en X. Y aquí tienes los análisis de Alex, los análisis de Farhan, el chat general todavía por acá, las tarjetas de P&L para ver cómo vamos este fin de semana. Vientos, Big Head con un 112%, Tomatito, por supuesto. Te voy a mandar mi portafolio, Tomatito, ya quedamos. Aquí las rompen las frutas y las verduras. Es cierto, porque también mango está con todo. Toma. Tomatito, ya dinos la verdad. ¿Eres Sisi de Binance? No seas mamón, güey. No seas Tomatito, no seas mentiroso, güey. ¿Eres Sisi de Binance o quién eres? ¿Cómo? Ya, ok, me voy a retirar de aquí. En fin, vengan a morirse de la envidia en los P&L cards de todas las operaciones de Tomatito y Mango y a ver si se unen también las uvas y los frijoles. Güey, los frijoles no tendrían el mismo efecto. Vengan al chat general a platicar con todos. Ya saben que siempre es bueno poder ver si alguien más tiene otra idea que se te esté escapando, no estés viendo otros escenarios. Lo recomiendo de corazón. Acá, buenos días a todos. ¿Cómo va? Buenos días, por supuesto que sí. Y lo que necesites, tienes aquí nuestros enlaces también para todas nuestras cosas oficiales para que no te vean la cara. Nunca te vamos a pedir dinero, nunca te vamos a decir que vamos a manejar tu cuenta, nunca te vamos a decir que vamos a operar tú, cómo vas con tu... Nunca te vamos a escribir, nunca, ni pedir dinero, ni manejar tu dinero, ni que nos hagas copy trade. No existe nada de eso en el E-Trading Academy. Todas las cosas que ofrecemos están simplemente en nuestro sitio web, que por cierto, quieres aprender a tradear futuros, te interesa ser un degenerado como nosotros y estar en el casino en vivo, pero que la gente crea que tienes clase. Lo único que tienes que hacer es venir a Elite Trading Academy, meterte en tutos totalmente gratis. Te das una vuelta por acá. y simplemente le picas en cómo tradear en bluffing, te metes por acá arriba de ese güey sonriente, le picas bueno, aquí ves el video de 5 minutos, te explica cómo fondear tu cuenta, cómo operarlo, cómo usar el sitio, etcétera, que es como todos los exchanges de futuros funcionan, así que si lo vas a usar, esto te va a explicar todo. Y aquí tienes el enlace directo a la página de bluffing con nuestro código de referidos para que te den todos los beneficios que te puedes llevar, damas y caballeros. Eso es lo que necesitas, simplemente. Si eres un degenerado, quiere hacer trading y, ¿cómo se dice? Eres un degenerado que quiere hacer trading y pues, ¿qué te falta? Aquí tengo a Alex para todos ustedes. ¿Cómo están, Alex? Guten morning, my boy.
Gutenberg, boys. How are we doing?
Where the fuck is Farhan? He's probably still hiking that hill.
He got lost up there.
That's
No, I don't know. I hope he's good. He probably just sleeping, honestly.
yeah. Oh man, must be fucking nice. Must be fucking nice. Hey, Bitcoin was a little boring over the weekend. Did you see anything interesting?
Really, I mean, it was boring all weekend up until yesterday where we got the news flow. It's always a news flow on the low liquidity weekend, specifically Sunday. I think EU and Trump talked. They were successful in that, obviously. And
by the way, I love that in the public that's successful. Like he goes,
yeah.
I'm gonna put a 50% tariff on these guys. And then he just goes, all right, I'm not gonna do it right now, I'm gonna do it later. And everyone's like, oh, he fixed it.
Yeah.
What? We live in a weird world, sir.
We do, really. All we got yesterday was just a timeline. I mean, more of a direct timeline on when potentially it can get enacted to 50%. Nothing really changed. Nothing burger. I mean, Bitcoin rallied up to resistance. 110 still resistance as shown on the 12-hour median here. And this is what I'm talking on the Discord about. There's no reason to have FOMO in this range. I mean, in my opinion, yes, we're bullish. We're looking good. We just have a lower time frame trend shift. But often with lower time frame trend shifts, you generally don't want to be the one longing in the beginning of that. I'll represent the trend shift on like a 6-hour. I think it's more obvious, right? Lower high, lower low. And then this is where it should have lower high, did not. And instead, what we did was we actually busted up, broke the last lower high. And here we are now, just slowly right at resistance, at the verge of breaking out, but still just not there. And for me now, I'm not really looking to be longing this in anticipation of a breakout on a Sunday pump leading to a Monday that markets aren't even open. Rather, we know what to trade, which is okay. Well, we know the 12-hour EMA 9 is very important. We already see the reaction here into yesterday. I told the Discord, watch the throwback on the 12-hour 9 for the easy long trigger. We basically got that. We moved up. I'm pretty sure this happened. I was sleeping or something. I don't know. I don't remember when this happened, but we got that. We got expansion, and now we're just here at resistance. This resistance is important because it's right at 110. Nice psychological number. I know on certain exchanges, like I won't say the names, but certain exchanges right around, there's always a discrepancy on all-time highs or even just the price, just the order books of each exchange. Some exchanges, we're now kind of at that all-time high wick high, while others, we've definitely broken that. For me now, I'm just going to play the levels. I'm still treating this like a weekend, right? I don't trust moves over the weekend. And instead, what do I know? Well, I understand that the 8-hour did lose the 21. The 21 here is quite important. It was kind of holding nicely during that, kind of chop here. Just kind of in the early parts of the weekend. We lost that. We then sprung off the 34, and then here we are. For me now, I'm really watching carefully that basically 107,900 to maybe 107,500. And I'll explain why I'm looking at that. For me now, this is going to be basically used as the next higher low since we just broke the trend. So now we need the next, we have the higher high, higher low. So now we need the next higher low. When you make a trend shift, even on lower time frames, you should not disregard trend, higher lows, higher highs. It works each and every time. You make a higher high, you make a higher low, higher high. That's just how it works with markets, essentially. So for me, I don't have FOMO. I'm not really looking to give longs today, specifically when markets look like this, and I'm still considering this a weekend move. For me now, it's a lot better just to patiently wait on your hands and sit on them. I mean, we have a beautiful reclaim of the 4-hour 34 here. You never really tested that yet. This would be to the book what was resistance flipped back into support while also brewing potentially that higher low. Now, most of my ideas today are on lower time frames, and that's just because the daily, if we even just see this, very obviously is in an uptrend, very obviously still holding the daily 9. Now we're just at, somewhat of resistance, but overall the daily is still very strong. And that's why for me today, the analysis is on the lower time frames. So the 4-hour, in my opinion, should at least test the 34. That to me would be a great spot. Now, you have some difficulties here because you very well could just bounce off the 4-hour 9 and then move up. I mean, the 4-hour 9 is right at 109.78. I mean, that is coming in very close to the 12-hour 9. So it's not going to be as easy, in my opinion. But for me, it would be very nice to see kind of a move back down into New York Open tomorrow. And then what we could see is potentially this 21 get tested, right around that 107,900 region, maybe 108.1. That to me would seem that would be good. I would not really be upset to get that move, rather quite happy. Even on the 2-hour here, what you're seeing is, if we ended up testing this EMA 100 again, and we know Bitcoin likes to go all the way back down right before it, ever so slightly invalidates the trend. It's at 107,500. So that to me, just in summary, is kind of like the hopium case that I'm going to give bulls. If we do get at a violent, aggressive pullback, leading us back to 107.7s to 108.2, that to me is going to be good to potentially look for a long. And that's just it, really. And it really will be dependent on if we can flip this January 20th wick high on a weekly close into support. You get any weekly closures back above that January 20th wick high, yeah, this will then be in breakout posturing, and pullbacks probably aren't going to happen until we at least see, let's see, let's go to the HPR, at very minimum, at least we see 114s, but that's still we need the close, where weekly's holding above the 38.2%, holding above these wick highs, good. But, for me to feel confident about calling for a bigger move up at this range, I need to see a weekly 5-day, even like a 2-day close above basically 110. That would be good, because what you're noticing is the 2-day deviated. It's just the bearish retest. That's just something we won't know until we know. Closures above basically 110 are going to be crucial for bulls. All right, nothing on the 15-day. We'll go back to the lower time frames. Just very obvious to me on lower time frames. I mean, weekend was very slow. I mean, very boring. Had a nice move up into Sunday. Now we're at resistance. I mean, this did trend shift though, so I don't think it's totally out of question, unnecessarily degenerate to be looking for something like this. We can then use our stop loss here, bid this, and then look to maybe take that to like the 111s. I don't think that's dumb. This would also give you that inverse head and shoulders formation here before possibly breaking out. So, for me, I'm flat. We closed shorts yesterday. We shorted 109s, 109.6. It was actually right here where we shorted. We had this nice move down. I had everyone move their stop loss to right here, this wick high essentially, but I had us close right here. I just was not liking basically the news-driven pump on a Sunday. I've seen that movie before. Generally, it's a let's run everyone stop before going down. No reason to not be stingy taking profits on shorts, because something to note is look at how strong Bitcoin is truly. I mean, let's just really gauge the 9 and the 21 here. Bitcoin's extremely strong. I mean, on this entire move up, we've been essentially holding within this 9 and 21 range on the 12-hour, meaning once we got back above that 12-hour, 9 and 21, you basically you could just blindly bid this, belonging the 12-hour 21, boom, that would have printed well. Okay, cool. Let me blindly long the 12-hour 21. Cool, that worked well. And let me, each time this taps the 12-hour 21, bid this. That worked out well. Now here on that weekend move, you again went directly to that EMA 21 on the 12-hour, not breaking down fully. Now, it wasn't dumb going into the weekend short, specifically when our TP was 104, 105s. You lose a 21, you're most likely going to go to that 34. That was, more on like over the weekend sitting at our TP zone. Now you see this has moved up. Why would the 12-hour be looking so strong? Well, it's just based on the daily. The daily nine's been insanely strong. Now, when you're in an uber bull market, super, super strong, that is literally what you want to see is the daily nine holding consistently with maybe the extremity lows being somewhere near the 21. This is why my system works really well when we're in very, very trending markets, because you can play these down on the short side. And if we're super bullish, you can just play the daily nine. And you can't really tell me that hasn't worked so far. It worked here. That would have been an easy 11% move if you would have sold at the perfect top. And then here, an 8% move. And then even into this weekend, bidding that 9 here still would have been a 2.84% move, basically giving bulls a free move up. And it won't always be like this, just so everyone knows. This is like complacency. This is like bulls are very, very easily printing money while shorts are having a hard time. It won't always be like that, though. But until it shifts, there's no reason to overcomplicate it, make it a harder or aggressively short, or take even losses when like you can catch a move, you see supports holding. It's been holding this entire time. There's really no reason to overcomplicate things. And so the point being, though, is that that's strong. That's strength. That is what you would want to see in a bull market. It is just the 9 to 21 holding on like the daily, the 12-hour. And that is basically why all moves down have been just muted and they've been bought up. So that's just the understanding on why, I wanted to kind of close our short yesterday, tightened my stops across the board on that short. It went well. I mean, it printed well, of course, but again, it's just like when we shorted here, these moves down are just really getting bought up. And that's just something to know. And so now with the trend shifted on the lower time frames, daily's always been an uptrend, but like the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, I mean, they were down in my book, especially when you took this low here. Or no, my apologies. What was it? God, I like the 6-hour view. I'll make my life easier. For me, it was here when you took out this low, forming the next lower low. This turned into the higher low. I mean, lower high. For me, though, it was really just dependent on this low. That's what it was. This low here should have held. This did not. We then went through. We then formed another lower high based on this basically wick high rejection to that lower low if you're using this and this low. And so for me, it was very obvious then you need to break basically 109, 420. Perfect number to actually trend shift. We got that. So as long as we're not taking out this low that was formed on the weekend, anywhere around here should be an opportunity zone. But like I said in the beginning, this is weekend price action still, even if we're on a Monday now, just simply based on the fact that, well, markets aren't open yet. You're at the 12-hour median, and I mean, per this view, if we don't even want to look at the moving averages or anything, per the HBDR, next line should be 107.400. That lines up perfectly with where I want to start going long. Because if I start longing here, where will my stop be? Well, it'd have to be right here, like 106,600. That to me is bad risk to reward. I don't like longing resistance in anticipation on a breakout that may not come, and then we come all the way back down here. I'm holding a very bad trade. It's going right around my stop. I'm kind of getting flustered, leading me not to add. I'd much rather sit on my hands, let the weekend, degenerates play, get something like this, form that bullish structure on the lower time frames, can see the price divergence, can see the obvious invalidation. You most likely take this low out. You're probably going to end up going at a minimum to the 105s, in my opinion. So that at least leaves me with a nice area of, well, where am I wrong? And, like I said, could very easily put in like a reverse, an inverse head and shoulders essentially here, if that were to occur, giving us that basically right shoulder, essentially left head. As long as we don't take out that low, it's valid to me. So we get this, I'd be looking for this to kind of break up, test these highs. There will be the big test. But that still could give us a pretty easy move into this week of at least maybe 4%. That to me is a good trade, and that's what I'm going to be waiting on patiently. And the Academy will get this signal once I figure out the levels to actually get the entry on. 'Cause it's still questionable. I mean, I just need this. Really, I need the 4, 8, and 6 to close. That to me would give me more data, in my opinion, to say, yeah, probably 108s to 107s. But until then, that's kind of what I'm going to be betting on and waiting. I don't really like longing on weekends. I don't really like playing resistance in anticipation on a breakout, specifically too when we see volatility is just contracting on the lower time frames. It's more just like in a range bound. Uh, it's more range bound price action, and just a lack of better words. You're not really seeing volatility doing any busting action quite yet. Now, on like I said, the higher time frame is very bullish, and that's why I'm gauging more lower time frame trading today to then get in to basically get positioned for the higher time frames. Even this move down really wouldn't do much, still would give you bullish structure, and honestly, still would stay above the daily median. Or am I talking nonsense? No, yeah, daily median's right there. Yeah, so I mean that still would be bullish per the HBR even. So that's Bitcoin. We can look at I know far into the 2-week flip to a buy. That's interesting to see that specifically when you're seeing volatility here, a break above the moving average confirmed onto this next 2-week close, which is very interesting to see actually. Because I mean, this 2-week is massive, monumental, just in my opinion. I mean, if you just backtest this yourself, anytime we have a 2-week BBWP setup, generally these are macro moves that then lead into what? The monthly. It's very important because the monthly still has a beautiful volatility setup, and it's actually freshly firing off. This is implications for June, essentially, July, end of year. If the 2-week starts firing off while the monthly is firing off, it's always good when you're seeing the monthly fire off and then the 2-week is still lagging. In my opinion, that's just more confluence that this is probably going to start breaking out soon. If we do see, let's say, this monthly close anywhere above basically the median, you're going to get a move. I don't know why I took that off. You're going to get a move. Basically, this will shift down, but this could go anywhere from around 169 to like maybe 170s. That'd be quite interesting to see because, well, when you get a 2-week volatility setup mixed in with a monthly already firing off, you do have to wonder, are we about to see some insane move that we haven't seen, basically since like December of 2023, or even here in October of 2020, or even, not even here, you didn't have a monthly volatility setup. Be pretty epic, in my opinion, and it's a big move up. Now, this could easily shift. The median could easily shift up. We don't get that set up into June, April, May, June. Yeah. And that just is how it is. Or you really do get that set up. And then we can really start playing trend and overall just prepping for maybe a blow off top scenario here. Because I do believe if you end up going to that 178, I don't look at that as like something we're going to consolidate, chill, and keep moving up to Kathy Wood's level. Like, I don't think we're just going to keep doing this forever. And then we finally go to Kathy Wood's level. I honestly, this is just my opinion based on nothing rather than just fairy dust and unicorn money. I do think if we end up going to this zone here, this will be a blow off top. That's just my opinion. I do think you'll aggressively move up to this zone, something a lot of people aren't expecting in the sense that everyone wants 120s, 150s. Rarely are anyone talking about 160s to 170s. In all realness, that should be enough, in my opinion, to then go down. We could maybe top, and then we could, form some kind of lower high around here. But I'm not really going to want to be too aggressive when Bitcoin starts moving up to this zone. I'd want to be de-risking heavily because we've seen this in the past, really, where people are relating to the last cycle where this could happen ever so slightly higher high. I don't know if that could, but we've seen this before. Bitcoin overall just moves aggressively up. In one candle here, we went up 40% before topping. Very well could happen. I mean, this candle on a open basis was, I take that here. Gosh, let me take it from a wick. 28% into one. These are 2 months. You had over 60%, 50% volatility 2 months here. I mean, it's not the most absurd thing to say, like, a move up to here would be around 60%. Easily could shift to maybe like 160s. that's kind of what we're, potentially what's brewing into next month. Now, nothing's confirmed yet. I just want everyone to know that, like, nothing at all is confirmed yet until we get this monthly closure, actually. But I mean, that at least makes me kind of bricked up if we are going to still have massive volatility in the coming months, because volatility equals money and setups. So for me, Bitcoin's looking extremely good. I really wanted the pullback to like the 99.8s. We haven't really gotten that. And that's fair. That's fine. Farn has heavily talked about the scenario where we're just in a market now where you're not really going to get those violent pullbacks that you've kind of been catered to back when we were going from the 106s all the way down to the 74s. And even this move down was pretty annoying in the sense that it just kept getting bought up and then bought up and then bought up. And finally we went down and then boom, bought up. And again, just shows kind of the strength, even when we're in a downtrend. It's really not like, this wasn't really a bear market move, in my opinion. It was just very to the book downtrend, yes, but you're not getting that like candle where it just goes down 10% in one candle and then it does this and then down again. I mean, these are bear market moves. This is just very slow grinding, very, in my opinion, calculated moves. So that's kind of what I have on Bitcoin. I am bullish. I closed shorts. I'm not really looking to aggressively play today. I want to see how today closes. Do we reclaim above 110 on a daily close, or can we get that pullback around here, not trapping, but punishing late longs, moving down, maybe going closer to that, 12-hour median. I'll put that here. It fits my bias better. Not 12-hour median, rejecting the 12-hour median, going to the 38.2%, which is right around that 21, giving us one more shot around that 107s, maybe 108.1, having our stop loss at this weekend low, and then, bidding into next week for potentially a breakout move. That to me would be very nice and logical if we get something like this. It goes like that, maybe consolidates here now, and then we break out. And that's like, you're just overall getting that structure grinded out. Now, it doesn't have to happen. I'm wrong. If you start reclaiming, let's say 110 on any, like 110 on any daily close, I'll be wrong. You can use this as like the May 23rd wick high. If you start closing any dailies 12 hours above that, I'll most likely be wrong, and we're probably going to break out, very minimum, test these highs here on 111,700. At that point, don't know why we wouldn't make a new all-time high right around 112,800 to maybe about 114. And the reason why I said I wouldn't understand why we wouldn't make a new all-time high is just based on daily trend. It's very strong still. It's looking quite nice, and this is very to the book. I mean, stop here, long here, up. So, I mean, that's just how trend is. It's very easy, can give you easy invalidations. You bid here, your stops there, you go up. Same thing, never even took out this last low. You could have literally longed here with a stop here. That worked well. Longed here with your stop there. That worked well. And that's why trend is easy. So if we're going to then play that, this was some major higher low, okay, and we need my stop here. I want to start bidding around here. Lastly, I'll say the daily 9. I mean, no reason why it can't get hit again, sitting at 107,800. As Bitcoin moves up, this moves up. And that's what kind of holds the overall bullish trend, in my opinion. So, very minimally, a pullback here should not surprise anyone if we get it. And that's just in my personal opinion, based on everything I'm seeing today and the fact that we're still kind of in weekend territory, in my opinion. So that's all I have. Watch 107.3s to like 108.1. Your stop's always going to be this low, though. So your goal as a bull is now to just bid as close to this stop loss as possible. So that way, if you are wrong, you're not really wrong. You're just taking really a tiny loss. Whereas if you're being an aggressive bull, longing this, your stop has to be here, and now that's a big loss. That's not really worth it. And where's your TP going to be here? Well, it has to be here logically. That's terrible risk to reward. You're going to risk 3% to maybe make 1.95% unless you're aggressively wanting a breakout. And then you're just kind of 1-1, almost matched. You're slightly higher at this point. That's why I don't like those type of trades. I'm fine waiting, being wrong, but that's not good risk to reward. Therefore, it's not worth my time. This is more worth it. So watch this region, the scenario. Maybe it doesn't come as deep as I want. Perfectly fine. And just like I mentioned, the 12-hour could easily bounce simply off the 9, because the 12-hour 9 gives you an easy long trigger anytime. And this doesn't have the highest hit rate, of course, but it is just a very lame, very simple layman's kind of trading strategy. Anytime this 12-hour 9 gets reclaimed, you simply open low leverage longs right on the retest, and you don't close these longs until you lose that 12-hour 9. I mean, just an example, this would have printed you from that point where we lost the 12-hour 9 very comfortably at 6%. And then, sometimes it works. Like here, you longed it, you kind of were in profit, didn't work, you closed here. But even so, I mean, you didn't really lose too much. If you did play the 12-hour 9, there's basically lost less than 1%. And then here you could have longed it here, and then that worked out, lost it. But right, the 21, so you can still play into that, right? Formulate, kind of beef up the system a bit. Maybe using the 9 and the 21. You bid here, extremity there. But for me, very simple. As long as the 12-hour 9's reclaimed, you are now in long territory. So maybe I don't get my pull. Maybe I don't get a deep pullback to 107s. Maybe we just literally bottom here around 108.6, and that very well could happen. So play what you know. We know the range, we know the levels, and we know what's holding. So there's no reason to overcomplicate it. This isn't a fresh uptrend, and I don't want to be longing the higher high. I'd rather be playing the higher low. If that comes today, tomorrow, fine with me. As long as I can get any kind of longs around here and my stop is here, it's good for me. So that's Bitcoin. Let's look at Tether dominance now, essentially. Let's see what's good with it. We have that breakdown. You try to retest this. I don't really hold a lot of weight on this pattern here, so it is more for visuals. But what you have here is a beautiful daily SMA 200 retest, rejection, and now this is just full on rejecting the 9. This is looking quite heavy to me. I don't really see why we're not going to test these lows, specifically when you see on the daily today, tomorrow. This is maybe about to do some busting action up. This could play in nicely with, it could just play in nice. I don't know where this could get a bounce looking like this. And that's why I'm hesitant to say, maybe Bitcoin does just play off the 12-hour 9. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I guess you could draw like a meme line here. You're at support, maybe you bounce, but I wouldn't want it to go back up right around that daily SMA 200. Definitely could, but I just wouldn't like that too much. I guess here's the view. So maybe the 12-hour rallies back up to the 9. Maybe it goes to the 21 here. But this should overall, in my opinion, basically be gearing up for a move to 4%. Now we're now in the middle here, so it's just kind of slow, whatever. But I mean, yeah, you broke the last lower high here. This is just gearing up for a lower. You broke the last lower high. You made that lower low. This is looking now a lower high is brewing. This is actually giving me great confluence. Now I'm looking at the lower time frames. See my point? Like the daily, can't really get much off this. Bitcoin, you really can't get much off this. And that's why today I'm looking at lower time frames, because now it's like, this could easily go up to around like 4.53 to maybe 4.55 and then roll over. What that probably means is Bitcoin does give us that pullback scenario here. That's good news for us because, we can get a nice long. And if we're wrong on this long, I like these longs because you're just kind of like you're paying to play, but your loss is so small, it's really fine. In the sense of the risk is so tight. Now, however, much size you put here is up to you, but as long as your risk is less than 1%, I like those type of trades. To me, they make me feel confident. And then I can start using Tether dominance to really figure out, is this really about to bust up or just make another lower high and roll over? And for me, that's what it looks like is going to occur. Yeah. So, Tether dominance is still looking very bearish. We can talk about kind of the middle zone that we're in, but if you start looking at this like on a weekly, it actually becomes quite clear that the next objective is simply going to be 4%. We're now just in a no trade zone. You're in the gray zone of what occurs when you're in a breakdown. You have BBWP breaking above the moving average. It's interesting to see. Let's check that 2 week as well. I think that closed. Lost support. Bearish retest, This 2-week looks like it's going to be the one that takes us all the way down. One thing I like about this 2-week view is, well, you see the estimate 200 is going to move around that 4%, kind of solidifies it. That's a pretty big zone, very similar to the Bitcoin. The 2-week on Tether dominance is giving us a setup now, and that's nice to see, because if this starts moving down, well, bears really, I mean, I guess bulls, Tether dominant bulls, don't want this major move down, and then this 2 week starts firing off. That would be really bad. That could then potentially open up and move all the way down to 2.5%. An absurd level for even me to talk about, which hasn't been tested since 2021. But that definitely could happen if you start losing this region. That's why this zone is going to be it. You got to hold here. I mean, they're going to try to solidify the triple bottom here, or it's going to be the McDonald's pattern. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's either the triple bottom, everyone's happy, boom, or it's going to turn into the M pattern, which is the McDonald's pattern. It's not good. So, we won't know until we know, but all I can say is it's looking very likely like this region's going to get tested sooner rather than later. Oh, look at that. The 2-week now is in a confirmed breakdown. Yes, you could easily move up into this region, which again is right around that 4.55%. We already saw that in the lower time frames. The lower time frames were telling us a move to 4.55% could happen based on like the 6-hour, the 8-hour, and the 12-hour. But this should start coming down, very minimum to the 50%. Rather, though, I'd like to see that 61.8% get hit. That'll be great. And then we can maybe talk about a bottom there, moving back up. But until then, it seems to me like this is going to be a pretty easy market for bulls if Tether dominance honestly cooperates here. For me, I just want to see a little move up, test the 38.2%, the breakdown zone. We didn't even test it yet. I want to see it actually get tested. And then I want to see this absolutely collapse around 4.55 to 4.56%. It should bigly reject. And how my system works, next target is going to be around 3.86. 3.86%, 86%. Yeah, Monday, these numbers. Okay, so that's Tether dominance. Very bearish though, very, very ugly. Yikes. And okay, cool. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance. Oh, it's looking good actually. Well, this is a monthly, so of course it's going to look good. Let's go to a daily. Yeah. So daily is actually looking quite nice. You see here we broke out. We then retested support. Yeah, went a little overshot it a bit, but it's fine. Never closed under it, right? Never lost a daily 9. And now here we are about to maybe do some combustion action up. For me, it seems like, we're at least going to test the 64.8% again. That just seems like we're going to fill some of this out. This is either going to roll over around here. And what would that look like if that did? Yeah, this would be then like a lower high on the weekly, if so. That's kind of what bears are looking at, actually, is they want, yes, a move up. We got the lower low. Let's move up, but then ever so slightly roll over here, giving us that price divergence. And then this can come back down to here and maybe even break down if trend is actually down. So that's kind of like the battle right now on Bitcoin dominance is bears want this to lower high. The trend on the weekly shifted. Bears need this to lower high essentially. And bulls are really looking at this as a beautiful SFP, a retest, and now they can break out while all the shorts are in horny and happy. I don't really know yet what's going to occur. All I can know is, well, the weekly 9 still holding. The median, we're still holding above that. We're now back above my meme line. Next level should be 69.58%. Let's see if the daily EMA 100 held. It did hold right here. We actually reclaimed it. So that's bullish. Are we above the estimate 200? Yes, we are right here. Okay. So weekly, daily look good to me. Bull market criteria. Let's see if the monthly 9's reclaimed. It actually never even got tested. And really actually held the EMA 100 here. This is looking as bullish as it could get in my point of view. And that kind of, the reason I'm saying that is because, well, if you are a bear wanting this to lower, higher, roll over, maybe to send your altcoins, it seems to me a little unlikely that this is going to actually form into a lower high, but rather this was just a liquidity grab down. And now we're just almost right back up. To me, that's just what it seems like. Now, it could be easily wrong. You'll know I'm wrong if we don't take out this high and we do start rolling over, losing that weekly 9. I'll be very wrong. But until then, I still think 69.55% is going to be the next target here. It's an 8% move. It's very interesting to see that. So that's Bitcoin dominance, looking quite nice, quite easy. I mean, on the gram scheme of things, like that move down we had like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, didn't really even do much. Yes, it shifted trend a little bit, but this is a Bitcoin dominance, and this is unicorn money. It doesn't really need, it can do that. It very easily can do that. Even the 5-day here, it's looking quite nice. So this is actually looking good. This is why ETH did well, but I mean, that's all it ever does is it temporarily does well, and then, well, it doesn't do too good afterwards. So, yeah, that's all I have really on markets. I can look at Dixie slightly. Again, just not really getting. I mean, you are getting the correlation that we've seen this year, which is Dixie dumps Bitcoin. Well, wait a minute. Actually, no, maybe you have balance in the force. My apologies, because what you were getting before was, you're getting like a Dixie moving up, and you'd have Bitcoin move up. But now you're having a Dixie dump, and you have risk on slightly green. I guess Nvidia is not even open. But for how it stands, I'm still on the camp this is bottomed. Now, let me see here. Yeah, now I'm still on the camp this is bottomed. We talked about this basically. I don't know why my computer's. Okay, it says 7%.
Yeah, you got a little frozen.
We talked about this last month, essentially in April. Yeah, I don't know why it's
Do a refresh, maybe?
basically. Is it still lagging? It's just because my computer went under 10%. I don't know why.
Oh,
Let me see. I'm almost done. I'll finish this up. Just saying, as long as we don't take out Dixie's April low, I still think this bottomed. And so this is nothing more than just grinding out structure on like a weekly, giving us potentially that higher low, right? Low. Okay, boom, high. We need a higher low. We need trend to start developing here. That needed to be done by getting a dump down. As long as we're not taking out this low, I'm still in the camp this is bottomed. And so that's the dollar, and that's what I have there. And even this kind of shows on the HBDR. You gotta hold this region here. If you don't hold the zone, you take out April's low. Yikes! This is probably going to dump hard. This very well could just bottom up to 38.2%, start moving back up. Very easily could do that. So that's all I have here. I'm going to go get a charger real quick.
Sounds good. Thank you. Vale, pues aquí tenemos el Bitcoin. Perdón, 7 de la mañana con 27 minutos. El precio de Bitcoin está en $109,000. Estamos viendo una tabla diaria. Quité todos mis EMAs rapidísimo solamente para enseñarles esto. Estos son nuestros máximos, obviamente, de diciembre, los de enero, me parece exactamente, y ahora dónde estamos. Quiero que noten esto, ¿ok? Una vez que llegamos acá, pum, 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 hasta acá, tienes este mínimo, este máximo, este mínimo, este máximo, y la siguiente pregunta es, ¿qué sigue, no? Estando por encima de esta línea meme, deberíamos tener continuación a la alza. Pero recuerda, si estás viendo que hace este tipo de movimientos, ¿qué es lo que probablemente seguiría? Un alto más alto, tal vez, y aquí es donde tenemos que preguntarnos, ¿ya logramos el alto más alto de esta tendencia en total o va a continuar? Y si continúa, ¿hasta dónde? Y de ahí, ¿dónde vamos a ver el bajo más alto? Podría ser de vuelta acá, podría ser de vuelta acá, podría ser de vuelta acá, podría ser de vuelta acá y seguiría siendo tendencia alcista en la diaria, porque hasta que no te lleves los 74,000, lo único que estarías creando es un bajo más alto y después para continuar. Entonces, estamos en alerta en este momento buscando si este fue el alto más alto o si vamos a ir más alto y de ahí organizar dónde vamos a hacer ese bajo más alto. ¿Ok? Agresivo el movimiento después de los $109,000, vimos los 74,000, algo muy chistoso que fue lo que justamente CZ de Binance, nuestro favorito hombre de China, fue lo que dijo iba a pasar y pasó tal cual. No sé cómo me siento de esas cosas, ¿no? Pero cada que CZ te dice algo, hazle caso. Anoto, ahora sí que yo sí anoto a la gente que dice algo y no para irme a cagarme en ellos. Es porque quiero saber quién sabe lo que está diciendo. Y ese güey nos contó del fondo, nos contó lo del Luna, nos contó lo de FTX, nos contó ahorita el de 70 a 100. Todo esto ya se lo aventó Sisi. Ok, entonces síganlo ahí en X. De verdad, el güey de Binance literalmente te dice lo que va a pasar. Obviamente no toma un mes ni 2 meses. A la gente se le olvida por mucho, entonces importante. Vale. Con eso dicho, entendemos dónde estamos parados en la diaria, donde habíamos tenido nuestros primeros mínimos y nuestro siguiente mínimo. Y ahora vamos a buscar este máximo. La cosa es, viéndolo un poco de lejos, y recuerden, todos los mercados están cerrados. Continuamos en esta tendencia alcista con madre, con absolutamente todo. No sé por qué tengo estas cosas acá. No me acuerdo de lo que había hecho. Seguimos alcistas, tenemos la vela más alta de toda la historia, bueno, mínimo con el potencial cierre más alto de toda la historia, además de la vela más alta de toda la historia en Bitcoin. Todavía falta un mes y 5 días para cerrarla, pero estamos muy por encima de todo. Esto se ve muy bien, sin lugar a dudas. Cuando pongo el HPDR en la trimestral, en los Bitcoin, podemos ver que estamos literalmente tocando la parte alta de la zona azul. Breakout ocurre arriba de los 113,800 y eso nos debería llevar al 50% mínimo, por ahí de los $150,000, que se ponen pendejos los números. Nuestra media en la trimestral, lo que te va a decir que es la oportunidad más grande si es que esto no se ha cocinado y va a continuar a ir para arriba, va a ser probablemente por ahí de los $89,000. Si llegas a ver que Bitcoin llega a los $89,000, ahí tienes la primera probabilidad más alta de encontrar tu bajo más alto. La segunda está en los 85 y la tercera ya sería un bajo más bajo. Así que ahí lo tienes en la trimestral. Vamos a la mensual. Mensual, todavía tenemos camino para correr hasta los 124, $125,000 por acá. Nos faltan 5 días y 10 horas para cerrar. Vamos a ver qué ocurre. Estando por ahora encima de la media está en los $100,000 planos. Esa sería primera zona de oportunidad, tal vez, en la mensual. Segunda zona de oportunidad, yo diría el promedio del 9, que una vez más coincide con los $89,000 con esta línea meme. Entonces, primera entrada, más o menos 100,000. Si llegan a fallar los 100,000, yo diría que los 90 sería donde nos vayamos a encontrar, pero es irrelevante por el momento. Semanal, estamos ya por encima de la zona de la línea azul. Lo que teníamos es un buy en la de 2 semanas en el Jewel. Y ahora estamos por encima de la media. Esto nos debería impulsar hasta la parte alta de la zona azul, que son los $130,000. Faltan 13 días y 10 horas para cerrar. Bastante tiempo. Definitivamente nos gustaría poder aguantar por encima de 105,500. De poder hacerlo, no estaríamos violando esta media a la baja y simplemente nos debería de impulsar con fuerza hasta esta zona en los $130,000. Semanal, 7:32 de la mañana, viendo el gráfico semanal. Trump, Putin, Trump, 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 Trump. Perdón, es muy temprano. ¿Qué quieren que haga? Es lunes. Continuamos, tendencia alcista, por supuesto, en todo esto. Primera oportunidad de retroceso, $101,000 por acá. Y estos son tendencias obviamente mucho más grandes. Estás hablando de semanal, 2 semanas, mensual. Lo que nosotros vemos y lo que estaba compartiendo Alex con nosotros es en temporalidades más cortas, por ejemplo, la de 12 horas, 12 y 6 horas. La razón por la que está viendo eso es porque dentro de estos rangos hay movimientos. Y en estos movimientos podemos ver que hemos topado en los 111,685, aunque bueno, el tope, casi los 112, pero pongamos 112, habíamos hecho este máximo, habíamos hecho este mínimo, luego habíamos subido hasta acá y hicimos un mínimo más bajo que este. Este en realidad es el mínimo en la de 12 horas y ahora deberías de hacer ahora sí que lo que sigue después de un bajo más bajo es o un alto más bajo o un alto más alto. Alto más alto, arriba de los 112,000. Alto más bajo, simplemente abajo de los 112,000. Eso te pondría si haces un alto más bajo, te daría probabilidad de crear un bajo más bajo que este. Ahora, lo que Alex está viendo y lo que nos compartió fue lo siguiente, que en este momento llegas a perder la media, lo que estamos viendo por haber logrado este bajón hasta acá, y sí pueden ver, ¿no? Que literalmente esto es más bajo que esto. Eso quiere decir que en esta tendencia tenemos este máximo, mínimo, estos máximos, estos mínimos y estos máximos. Y ahora, si prendo la chingadera de la tendencia, probablemente nos lo ponga. ¡Plup! En realidad solamente es 1 y 1, como le había pintado al principio, porque tienes este mínimo, es el mínimo en realidad, sí. Con eso dicho. Perfecto, tengo que quitar todo esto, ahí está. Excelente. Con eso dicho, ahora lo que estamos viendo por acá es, estamos justamente abajito de la media. Podríamos ir hasta los 108,000 o la parte baja de la zona azul en los 107,352. No estamos buscando cortos por este rechazo porque podrías aguantar y poder encontrar un fondillo por acá, o la oportunidad fuerte sería en los 107,369. Si lo ponemos en la de 6 horas también, nos pone perfectamente lo que Alex estaba diciendo. Alto, bajo, alto más bajo, bajo más bajo, alto más bajo, y en realidad deberías de buscar un bajo más bajo. La respuesta está en los 106,000, que es la parte baja de la zona azul, lo puedes ver por acá. Y lo que estamos esperando es que este 34 que aguantó nos aguante una vez más. Entonces, oportunidad de entrada en un long, vamos a estar viendo entre los 108,000 y básicamente los 106,500. Esta sería nuestra oportunidad número 1 para ver este rebote, y esta sería nuestra oportunidad número 2 para ver este gran rebote y que nos dé para arriba. Una vez más, no estamos buscando el corto acá, estamos buscando dónde va a estar la entrada para poder continuar. Y si volteamos, estamos diciendo que va a ser esta línea en los 107 o un poco abajo. Los voy a llevar a la diaria. Pueden ver que aquí abajo, aquí abajito de la media, tenemos el 106,549 en la diaria. Eso lo pone un poco más sencillo. Aquí la parte baja de la zona azul está justamente en los 107,200 y abajo el 50% está en esos 106,500. Más o menos esta zona es donde vamos a estar buscando para ese long. Lo que queremos es que hagamos un bajo más alto. Esa sería lo que estaríamos buscando después de este alto. Esto estaríamos buscando un bajo más alto y simplemente nuestra invalidación estaríamos usando estos wicks en la de 12 horas y en la de 6 horas también para poder invalidar el trade. Eso quiere decir que estamos esperando lo más cerca posible a esto, por ahí de los 107, 106, 106, 600, 106, 700 más o menos sería el límite, y acá simplemente esta invalidación. De que caiga más, pues ahí puedes argumentar que esto fue un alto más bajo, ahora estás haciendo un bajo más bajo y deberías de tener un rebote, hacer un alto más bajo después de eso. Vamos a ver qué exactamente se da, pero para simplificar toda la cosa, voy a quitar mi HBR. Vamos a poner esto acá, quitar esto, quitar esto, quitar esto, agregar esto, poner esto, sacar esto, meter el otro. Y ver, ¿ok? Una vez más, ¿qué es lo que estamos buscando? Un bajo más alto. Idealmente lo deberíamos de encontrar en esta línea meme, junto con este promedio del 9 en la diaria, y eso nos debería llevar para arriba. Invalidación viene aquí abajo de los 106,599. Ahora, esto velo en tu exchange porque todos son diferentes, pero esa debería ser la invalidación de la teoría del long. ¿Por qué no cortos? ¿Por qué no estamos en, esto bajó? No puedes ir contra la tendencia. Tienes mayor probabilidad de darle bien a lo correcto cuando vas con la tendencia, y la tendencia es claramente alcista. Altos más altos, bajos más altos a través de todas las temporalidades en esta cosa. Ahí lo tienes. Rick de Olivera me había preguntado que cuál era el nombre del podcast. Te lo puse en X, Rick. Ahí te va. Se llama, déjame comparto esto en putiza. A ver si lo puedes ver por ahí. Así se llama. El podcast que se llama Meet the Startup Summoning UFOs. El canal es Jesse Michael. O Michelle, no sé cómo se dice. Y esto es spam, por cierto. Oigan, vean, David Smith está hecho completamente diferente. Este güey tiene toda la razón en dónde hice el trade. Así que esto es spam. Spam. Bueno, voy a regresar a mis tablas. Una vez más, denme 30 segundos. Ahí estamos. Vamos a eliminar esto. Más allá de esto, estábamos viendo también la dominancia de Bitcoin, que por cierto, ¿se acuerdan? Esto tiene que ver con las altcoins, que todo el mundo dijo que nos íbamos a ir al pito, pero tristemente está haciendo un bajo más alto y ahora está buscando un alto más alto. Y lo que parece ser sencillamente dentro de esta tendencia alcista es un bajo más alto, continuación, y esta continuación nos debería llevar hasta el 67% a cierto punto, que es bastante malo para todas las altcoins. Una vez más, tienes estos rips de altcoins, por supuesto, pero es cada que se ve en rojo la tendencia en la dominancia de Bitcoin. Pero esto más que nada es para decirles una vez más, para toda la gente, cuando salió Raoul Paul, porque ese güey sale cada que la dominancia de Bitcoin baja 2%, bueno, 2 pelos de rana calva, ese güey sale, no, ya es alt season, los NFTs van a explotar la chingada. No entren en ese tipo de FOMO pendejo que existió en el 2020, por el amor de Dios, y menos con esos dinosaurios. Escúchenlos, diviértanse con ellos, etcétera. Hagan ustedes su análisis, es bastante obvio. No lo digo porque nosotros sepamos más o menos que ellos. Ve las tablas, güey, las tablas te lo dicen. Lo que pasa es que la gente se queda con el encabezado y no va a ver las cosas. Y eso a mí me preocupa mucho en estos días, porque creo que es muy importante eh, ver toda la fotografía, ¿no? Pues la dominancia de Bitcoin continúa para arriba después de este mínimo que había hecho, hizo este máximo por acá en el 64.29%, hizo un mínimo más alto acá en el 63 y ahora está buscando un nuevo máximo. Y ese nuevo máximo o le va a quedar arriba el 65% o nos va a hacer la jugadita de, ajá, no hombre, chocamos por acá, aquí va a volver a salir Raoul Paul y decir, ya llegó el alto más bajo de esto, ya chingamos. Y esta chingadera te va a joder aquí para hacer esto. Otra vez, porque nadie aprendió nada. Hasta que no rompas esto, no estás para nada buscando alt season todavía. ¿Ok? Todavía no hay nada de eso. Y esta divergencia de precio alcista necesita otro huicazo de estos para darse y debería ser la parte alta de esto. Por lo que yo sí creo personalmente que esta madre puede llegar a los 67% mínimo con los siguientes movimientos. Es importante tenerlo en mente. Recuerden que la dominancia de Tether del otro lado nos está apuntando a la baja. Estamos creando altos más bajos, bajos más bajos, altos más bajos. Y lo que debería de continuar, y es por eso que estamos en long, es que, señores, después de este bajo, alto más bajo que este, y ahora este bajo más bajo que este, y este alto más bajo que este, ¿qué deberíamos estar buscando? Un nuevo mínimo. Y el nuevo mínimo, como lo hicimos al revés en Tether, podría ser aquí abajo y eso nos pondría en postura muy alcista para Bitcoin, o podría ser la gatada de y jugar en medio de un puto rango como siempre, que es lo que la mayor cantidad de precios hacen. Lo único que tienes que hacer es encontrar los rangos y jugarlos. Es mi parte favorita de todo esto. Pero por ahora está en una clara tendencia bajista, está por debajo del promedio del 9, él está por debajo del promedio del 5, está siendo rechazado por ambos después de también un rechazo del S&P 200, que es la línea morada que están viendo caminar por acá. Así que la dominancia de Tether continúa a la baja. Me gustaría comentar en el dólar parece que está encontrando este fondillo. Vamos a ver, porque este mínimo es importante no llevártelo hiciste este máximo. Si encontramos un mínimo, digamos, por acá en los 98, que tendría sentido, esto va a encontrar un rebote y debería llevarnos a ser mínimo un nuevo máximo y esto nos pondría completamente ya en una reversa de tendencia y el DXY estaría explotando a la alza, damas y caballeros. Estaremos al pendiente de ello. Si esto llega a darse y el dólar va para arriba, eso es malo para todo lo que es el riesgo. Por ahora el mercado se ve que va a pompear y continuar pompeando. El día de hoy voy a cambiar otra tercera parte de mis pesos a dólares. Acá estamos muy baratos. Personalmente creo que en el 18.9 es donde vamos a encontrar esos fondillos por acá, máximo el 18.2. Es un buen rango para encontrar ese mínimo más alto y dar continuación. No hay prisa, de nuevo, este es un trade que debería tomar otros 6, 7 meses para darse. Entonces, el dólar y peso, el dólar perdiendo terreno local contra el peso, de nuevo, no es mucho. es relativo, pero esta pérdida de valor relativa del dólar contra el peso es muy alcista para el mercado por alguna razón. Y esto es una de las cosas que veo que nadie me ha podido explicar, todavía sigo sin entenderlo personalmente. Lo que sí veo es la relación. Entonces, si estoy viendo que el dólar contra el peso está sufriéndola, el mercado debe ser alcista cuando abra, que todavía no abre. Y eso, por ende, Bitcoin no perdió su relación con el ¿de qué se descorrelacionó? Del mercado. No la perdió, señores. Lo único que hizo Bitcoin fue moverse más agresivamente y más rápido. Mercado hizo, el Bitcoin hizo esto, el mercado hizo esto. ¿Ok? Y ahora, este retesteo del S&P 200 debería de ser una excelente oportunidad de long para la bolsa, ir a buscar nuevos máximos. Una vez más, ¿por qué? Porque Bitcoin está adelantando a esto. ¿Ok? Y ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Eso es Bitcoin. Oh, Farhan's here. Holy shit.
Yeah, I've
Wow.
been here for
You
a
made
minute.
it up the mountain? I mean, down the mountain?
Yeah, I did. I was actually so fucking retarded. I never thought to realize that Querétaro could be an hour behind Cancun.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Around.
woke.
It's a surprise when you find out that around the world, anywhere, the time change.
I was like, I'm still in Mexico though. I'm still in Mexico.
There's 3 hour. There's just the U.S. has 4 because of Hawaii, right, and Puerto Rico, or 5, but
I'm
Mexico
not
has
sure.
3 different times. Mexico has Pacific time, which is mine, the one I'm here in LA, which is 7:45 in the morning. We also have Central time, which is 8:45, and then Eastern time 9:45. So Alex is 9:45 for you, right? No, 10:45.
45.
Where are? Oh, because you're in Texas.
I'm in Arizona.
I'm sorry. You're in Arizona. I'm fucking lost now. So
For me,
there
it's
you go.
8:45 in the morning. I usually wake up like a good 30 minutes before. I was like, oh, I have live streams at 8:30. I woke up at 8 o'clock, wake up at 8, and it's 9 a.m. Cancun time.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, glad to have you here. Let's go take a look
At the Bitcoin, right?
the Bitcoins. Well, we just did Bitcoin. Should we look at it again? Let's look at it again. Why not? There's not a lot of requests since apparently it's a holiday
And
and no
yes,
one wants to
market's
fuck.
closed. We're having fun with our Bitcoin. We're getting liquidated presidentially on every side.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get
You
everyone.
think you avoided the presidential liquidation? No, think again. Think again.
I know it's quite scary.
6. So go to the daily right now. Also the 12 hour. I'll do the very, very low time frames. So right now, the 12-hour is the one that's telling you that there still is cause for concern, despite it looking a little bullish at the moment, especially with the news that dropped yesterday. I forgot what it was, but I remember that I said commence green dildo party. It was some news that justified saying that if I were to say that. But momentum on the 12 hours now flipped back up right at the reset zone, rejecting the bearish control zone, while volatility is sitting at literally almost 0%, at 1.28%, basically 0%. And we have the jewel losing the sell signal and moving over into a neutral signal. Let's mark this jewel losing the sell signal and going into a neutral signal right below the bullish control zone. We had it happen right there. We had it happen right there. Happen right there. Let's move it to be a little bit more fair. Then right there. Craziest thing to me ever how most Mexican households don't have air conditioning unless you're in like a city, like a tourist city.
Yep. I mean, they just don't care. It's the weirdest thing because I mean, and like I said, I lived there, and when I lived there, I didn't care either. But now it's impossible.
That should be enough. Fuck it, we'll just get one more. Okay. These are 12-hour setups, so they should be pretty respectable. This is about 5.75%. Oh, I just said respectable, and we got a 5% move. I guess that would be very good for other markets, but for crypto people, 5% is pretty shit. 5%
Disgusting.
again. This one should be more respectable. Got some great green dildos, 12.6%. Then 16. Now let's check this one. about 9-ish%. Very close to double digits. Or then about 8, very close to that 9 number. Now let's take how much we've gone up so far from the open. Open to week high is about 0.26%. Let's take it about 4%, which is the lowest number we've gotten. Brings us to about $114,000. That's new all-time highs. Let's take it about 5%. 5% brings us to about $115,000. Take it about 8%. 8% brings us to about $118,000. Keep that number in the back of your mind. Now let's take it off. Fuck. Take it about
Let's
10%.
take it. Oh fuck.
Yeah, exactly. That's about $120,000. Now go to the daily. Daily is now also flipping back up on momentum, while volatility is now just about to expand, just below the moving average right now. And we're getting over the 38.2% on the HPDR. 38.2% is $102,000, basically $300. Closing over this area is going to commence our next green dildo party, because if you notice, every single time that we've closed over the 38.2% on the daily, close over right there, we went up to the 61.8%. Close over right there, went to the 78.6%. So you close over right here, went all basically, yeah, we went up to 88.3%, touched it to a T. And another one, closed over here, 61.8%. Even when it's bearish, you still hit the 61.8%. Close over it there, 61.8%, actually went to the 88.3. So minimum move seems to be the 61.8%. And that right now sits at right about $112,000 to $113,000. Then if we take it to the 78.6%, that sits us at about $116,000. And let's keep these numbers in mind. And continuing to remain up on momentum, but also break us back into the bullish control zone. So we have to look what happened when we went to the bullish control zone. Also went to the 61.8%, went to the 78.6%, basically the same thing. Now, the same signal as we got with the jewel. We go up a little bit, go to the index, and we'll go to the weekly. We just got a 2-week closure, so I'll start with that one. This is quite fucking bullish. The 2-week just closed yesterday on Sunday evening, and sure, the median did move down a little bit. It was sitting at $118,000 before. Now it's sitting at about $116,000. Do you guys remember that HPDR target and that the 5% move? Right about $116,000. We're getting momentum flipping back to the upside, getting out of the bearish control zone while volatility resets. And at this with this HPDR signal, especially since you close over this last week high, you would have a magnet of hitting the median for price action, which is that $116,000 number. Then if you look at the jewel is now giving us a fresh buy signal on the 2-week. It's going lower than these lows here while making a higher low, giving you 2-week hidden bullish divergence on the jewel. Pretty bullish. Now let's mark this with a vertical line, these buy signals on the jewel. And these are probably going to be pretty explosive results, especially considering the dates. Look at that date. And this will be the last one. Yeah, good enough. I fuck it. These are all going to be very respectable results. I say that now, and then we'll get a 5% move. But I'm pretty sure they're all going to be very respectable results. About 43%. Well, first you did about 20% little pullback. Then you did about 43% little pullback, and each one of the pullbacks you would have still been up. And 644%. Quite small. This one about 59%. 113%. 57.5%, very close to that 59% number. Now let's take it how much we've done so far. About 2%. Huh. Let's take it about 40%. Wow. Brings us to $150,000, and that's the minimum move. That's pretty wild.
The targets are nuts right now.
Let's get the
Again.
inner George excited. The 80% move brings us to about $200,000. Let's not bother taking it to the 100% and the 644% move because those are a little unlikely. Sorry, George. That would, interestingly enough, that would take us basically to the top of the 38.2%, that $150,000 area. Slightly higher than what my bias was, but I'll take it.
Man, all the people excited about the Bitcoin technology are going to be really excited when the price goes up.
Oh yeah,
Because they're just excited about the technology. I'm
we're
guessing
just
they'll
here
be a
for the
little excited about the price go up, right?
Yeah, it would just be slightly excited, you know.
Slightly. Yeah.
The
It's very
technology
important.
hasn't changed, so there's no reason to get too happy about it. On on the monthly, we're getting momentum flipping back to the upside right at the reset zone. We're getting volatility sitting at literally 0%. And have we gotten it? We have indeed. We've gotten bullish divergence on the monthly as well. We're possibly hitting bullish divergence after this monthly candles closes. It's going to confirm. And we have to close basically anywhere above $95,871, which we are like more than $20,000. No, I mean not more than 20, more than $10,000 above right now. We're like almost $20,000, $15,000 above that level. And we are just about to get over the median. Median right now sits at about $110,776. If you notice, all of our previous all-time highs, well, the all-time highs on this cycle, on this run since the election, have been rejections of the median. This $108,000 level, rejection of the median. This all-time high right here at the median, rejection of the median. Closing over the median is gonna tell us that we have something very different happening than what we've seen for the past couple of months. What we should be expecting is a move like what we got back in February of 2024, whenever we freshly closed over the median after rejecting it several times, took us all the way up to the top 38.2% in the next two candles. Actually, in the next one candle, took us to the top 38.2%. So if we can close over the median on this next candle, statistically by this next 1 month, 2 months max, we should be hitting somewhere around $150,000 because this is going to go down a little bit. My bias is it goes down to max 2 week, which is around 150,000. That's pretty insane to see a move to $50,000 in the next 2 months. That's like what $40,000 pump in 8 weeks. It's quite a bit. I know we've seen some crazier ones, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's quite a bit. Now let's go to Tether. Tether is still nicely breaking down. You got momentum still to the downside in the bearish control zone, while volatility is now expanding. And you're about to lose this. You're already below this wick low, about to lose it. Once you lose this wick low, you basically can have a free move down to this 100 EMA, sitting at right around 3.45%, 3.43%. And this is going to be off the back of the bearish divergence on the RSI as well. Gracias. 2 week, we got momentum also pointing to the downside with the volatility flipped up. And now the Jewel's giving us a nice little sell signal on this last 2 week closure we had yesterday. Very, very, very bearish to see that. If you were to notice, last time we had a sell signal on the Jewel freshly appearing was in November of 2024, right before we had that presidential liquidation of every single bear in sight. And then we have November of 2023, another it wasn't a presidential liquidation. Let's say it was a terrorist liquidation of every single bear from the October 7th event.
Well, that's not.
And then
Hang
we
on,
had-
that's not a terrorist liquidation. That's an explosive move by the terrorists.
Oh, exactly. January of 2023. Some very interesting dates. January 2023 is when the bull market basically started. When we went up to about mid 20s or mid to high 20s from about $16,000. You know, and we just lost 38.2%. So as of right now, we could see a little bit of a move up to tap this 38.2%, maybe a little bit higher to tap this meme line at right around like 4.69%. Although you really should not get higher than this area, and you more sooner rather than later, you probably are going to dump to this 200. Weekly is now also flipped to the downside. It's trying to flip up, still in the bearish control zone, still below the moving average, while volatility is currently still expanding, but it's very close to going into a contraction phase. Has not quite yet though. And this is a little bit of a bottomy candle, but as long as we're below this 5 EMA, it doesn't really mean anything, and we're probably still going to end up dumping. Once you start closing over the 5 EMA or getting over this wick high, is when you can see a slightly higher move to somewhere around like 4.99%, 5%, although I don't think that's going to happen. I think this area is going to stay as resistance and then dump to this bottom main line, especially now since we've gotten 1, 2, 3 closes below this main line. It's solidified that as resistance. 5 days now starting to flip up while volatility is contracting, telling you should be looking for a lower high. And if you say we have a fresh silver cross to the downside on the 5 day, so if we do continue to see a move up from here, it would take us anywhere between this 4.6% area for this 5 EMA towards slightly higher, possibly up to this 4.76% area. Although I don't think that's going to happen. I do think if we get a retest of this 9, it's going to be when the 9 moves down to tap this 38.2%, and then we retest that somewhere around 4.69%. And that would be the textbook silver cross retest. I probably want to go max long on crypto whenever we're retesting the 9 EMA. And if you notice on the 5 down the dual, we're just about to get pink crossing below the yellow. Once that happens, you probably get a nice little dump scan Tether. 2 days also flip to the upside while volatility contracts. We are currently still rejecting the median, and as long as we are rejecting the median, more than likely that the top is in right now. And we're probably going to dump to this 38.2%. Still could bounce to this 38.2%, do a nice swing failure at these lows. We just don't know if it's going to happen until it happens. Possibility, but more probable that it just continues to dump. If you get over the mean line, that's when you get that move to retesting that 5 day silver cross. Daily is now very close to going back and just flipping back down. Volatility is also very close to expanding. You see momentum flipping down with volatility expansion. That's a recipe for a dump speed. You're probably going to break these lows rather quickly and probably going to go to somewhere around this 4.61 of 61.8% number, around 4.29%. Probably not gonna reverse this point though. Probably just going to get a little bit of a bounce, tap this area right over here in the 4.3s, and eventually I would expect it in the 4s, like low 4s with this name line. 4 hours also looking like you're going to continue to see a little bit of a bounce where momentum is still in the bearish control zone, volatility is flipping up. If you can get a close over this 5 EMA at about 4.51%, then I would expect a bigger bounce into this 38.2% at around 4.56%. And that is my bias that currently is going to happen. I think it's going to bounce up this area. Not sure if it's going to break this area or not, but if it does, that's when I would look for retest in this mean line at 4.59%. If you look at our higher time frames, it does look like the mean line retest is going to be probable, especially I believe it was, which one was it? Was it the 2 week? Or was it the weekly? Yeah, it was the weekly. Since we have all of these closures below this mean line, while momentum is starting to flip up a little on the 5 day and the weekly is attempting to, I could see it move into this mean line, which I am thinking is probably going to happen. And that would be the most fucky of all scenarios, where we get some nice bullish news on Bitcoin, we get some nice 30 green dildos, then Tether dominance puts in a bearish retest while Bitcoin goes down a little bit, and then we get our busting action. Now we will switch to point on the other side. Two weeks still has that active hidden bullish divergence from this previous higher low at about $82,000. And it's going to be active as long as you're closing above $100,000, 100,762, making that $100,000 area very significant. And your next target on that divergence is going to be hitting, I believe it's the simple moving average. Yeah, simple moving average. Well, first is the bullish control zone. That level's at about 116,000. Oh, 116,000 comes up again. Very interesting. And simple moving average is at about $125,000. And now you're just about to get volatility expansion too. You're getting over the moving average below that 15%, expanding from about 4%. If this starts getting over 15% with the hidden bullish divergence, you're going to see some 30 green dimples. Well, the weekly or the monthly is just about to invalidate its bearish divergence and put in a fresh drive of hidden bullish divergence. If you close over about 95,871, your minimum move is going to be into the simple moving average, which right now is going to move down, but right now it's at about $141,000. Pretty well. And then the next target is the critical zone, which is not really very unlikely because you're expanding from about like 13% on volatility, and you've got a volatility set up right now. The monthly volatility is now sitting at 19%. So once we get to the momentum chart, I'll be able to give you I'll give you the setup for that. But just seeing that alone, hidden bullish divergence with volatility setup, probably that 140 area is not that unrealistic. Maybe we'll go a little bit higher and tap that 38.2% at 150.
George is going to need a lot of blue label.
Oh yeah.
And then when the bear market starts and he has top blasted 150, he can finish the rest of that blue label.
Maybe he'll do red. Maybe it'll be red there.
I don't think George's liver is capable of processing red after all of the blue he's consumed.
Black then. We'll settle with black.
Let's see, no divergence on these time frame. What's the RSI at on this? 92. Let's change it to 95 and see what our next target on the divergence is at. You just change your settings until you see something you like. $125,000, very cool. Today also has that divergence. Your next target is hitting the critical zone and the simple moving average. That's about $125,000. Same number once comes up in over and over and over again. Daily is now about to put in fresh drive of hidden bullish divergence. That will be 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence on the daily. The rule of threes, crypto loves the rule of threes, and you will confirm this with any close above $109,308. That will take you into the critical zone, which right now sits at about $122,300. Very interesting how this area keeps coming back up. And you got a volatility set up on the daily now expanding from about 3% with a third drive of hidden bullish divergence about to appear, and the daily 9 just continuing to hold. This was the easiest trading all throughout these past couple of weeks, is just max beating the daily 9.
Mm-hmm.
You would have went down on how much would you have lost if you entered the 9 right here? You would have been down maybe 2%, whereas right after you would have been up like 10%. 11%, 17%. So easy to just bid that daily 9. And as of right now, that theory is still holding. And if you go down to the 12-hour, there's also another setup that fired off. Well, there's a setup on the 12-hour where every time you close over the 5 EMA, or if you want to be a little bit more conservative, you could use the 9 and you just enter on there. Then you just close on a loss of it. So you would enter it right here. You didn't lose it right here. You would have stayed in for it, lost the 5, you would have exited right there. That's a pretty massive gain. And this strategy has risk management built in for you, so you don't have to lose your entire account on one trade for it's wrong. And sure, it's not the highest hit probability. It's somewhere around like 56-57% hit probability, but the losses are so small compared to the wins that the profit factor is insane. Like if you were to take this strategy and put it into an account on strategy backtester and put it within like a 300,000 account size, within the next 5 years, it's estimated to run you about 800,000 in returns. It's pretty insane whenever you have risk management down to that small of a drawdown. This one, like when you would have gotten out, would have been 2%. 2% versus 9%. That's like 4.5 to 1 odds. And this is backtested for you. So feel free to steal the strategy. Much better than just buying randomly and praying the price goes up. On the 12-hour, we have multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence currently active, and it's going to be we confirmed this last drive on this last 12-hour closure we just had a few hours ago, and your target is going to be currently the bullish control zone, which right now sits at about $110,000, just about our current all-time highs. Your next level is the critical zone, which is at about $126,000, very close to our 125 number. And nothing on that. Let's go to Tether. Tether is about to put in monthly hidden bearish divergence, and it will confirm with any close below about 4.94%, which we're heavily below right now. You get a nice little bastardized Quasimodo head and shoulders right here too. Very interesting. And that divergence will give you a minimum target of hitting the simple moving average, which right now is at about 1.82%, and this is going to continue to go up. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere around the low threes to high twos when we eventually hit it. 2 week is not just about to invalidate the bullish divergence, basically a formality to invalidate it because you just need one more close below about 4.94%, which will validate your monthly hidden bearish divergence. Weekly has a bearish divergence active, going to be active as long as you're closing below 4.78%. And your next target is the bearish control zone, which sits at right about 3.48%. Lines up beautifully with our monthly 100. And weekly is now giving you volatility expansion with that bearish divergence. Daily currently has a bullish divergence active, very interesting. Backs up the idea of a short-term pullback for crypto. And it's going to be active as long as you are closing below or above about 4.36%. And your next target is the neutral zone, which is at about 4.6%. Very interesting. Right around that mean line at 4.69%. And volatility is now sitting at extreme lows in the daily with the bullish divergence. Somewhat of a inverse head and shoulders, maybe. And then worked it up to the mean line. Let's go to the momentum. Let's switch from Solana to Tether. Let's switch gears. Quarterly on Tether is still strongly to the downside, and it's going to remain to the downside as long as you're below 5.67%. And you get a nice little head and shoulders on the quarterly as well. And the bearish hopium for crypto and the bullish hopium for Tether is that, sure, Tether dominance is pointing to the downside, but as long as you're closing over at 2.23%, you have possibility of hitting bullish divergence on the 3-month. And once that does confirm, likely it confirms your bear market for crypto. It's going to be quite something else, though, if you break these lows of 2.23%, because then Tether is probably going to retest these lows here. Tether dominance is retesting these lows here. And where the fuck is Bitcoin at that point? Like $300,000? I don't know. So there's some bearish hopium that we continue to hold over 2.23%. Monthly, I guess the situation where that would happen is if everybody loses confidence in Tether and converts all of their Tether into Bitcoin. You can see it happen then. Monthly is just about to get that volatility expansion. Right now, monthly is positioned to the upside. Very, very likely this pivot is going to change over this next 5 days because we're projected to open at the edge of the bearish control zone. And at that point, it's going to be much more difficult for the bulls to keep it up, and it's likely the pivot's going to go above price action. 2 week is also giving us a volatility setup, currently sitting at about 13%. And we're freshly flipping to the downside on 2 week momentum, rejecting the bullish control zone, and will be flipped down below 5.63%. Weekly is also flipped to the downside with a volatility setup, and it's going to be flipped down below 5.46%. 5 days as well as flipped to the downside with a volatility setup, and it's going to be flipped to the downside below 5.04%. 2 days flipped to the upside currently, goes along with the short-term bounce on Tether and pullback in crypto, and it will be flipped up above 4.5%. And daily as well is flipped to the upside with the volatility setup, and volatility is now starting to expand. And we will be flipped up above 4.4%. 4 hours currently flipped to the downside with volatility expansion. However, we are approaching the critical zone, so we want to see what this pivot goes to in the next 47 minutes. But as of now, we are going to be flipped down below 4.59%. Now let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently positioned to the upside with expanding volatility from the lowest level it's ever been at, and it will be pointed up above $95,200, which we are about $14,000 above right now. Monthly is also giving us a volatility setup, starting to expand below that 15% area, and momentum will be in the bull's favor as long as we are above $102,700. So as of right now, probabilities are that the monthly expands to the upside because we are heavily above this pivot right now. Once we start dropping below this pivot, then you have cause for concern. But as long as you're above that area, you should be max longing any pullback you really see. Because if you look at a comparable setup that we had, where momentum was to the upside and volatility was expanding from here, you didn't really get any pullbacks. And whatever pullback you did get was like, you can't even see it on the monthly chart. You would have to flip to like a daily chart to see that pullback. You barely even got to the monthly 5 EMA. Didn't really even touch the monthly 5 EMA. So these type of volatility setups on the monthly are the ones that you can confidently just max long, because the whole idea is that they're so explosive that they don't give you any pullback, so they can build FOMO in the market. Louis is also positioned to the upside, projecting getting out of the bullish control zone. Now volatility starting to fire off, and we are going to be pointed up above $92,500. I believe this pivot went down. Let me make sure. Okay. 99. Yep, so it did go down. That's very bullish to see. Went from 99 to 92,000, went down $7,000. And we are projected to enter the critical zone in the next open. Last time we had a volatility setup fire off from here, we went up pretty massively. We went up around about $56,000 for almost a 100% move on price action to $108,000. We have to expect some pretty explosive green deals from here based off of these setups. 150 doesn't really seem that crazy anymore. But first, we got to get through 125. 125 is a very significant number considering how many times it comes up on the RSI. Weekly is also positioned to the upside with volatility expansion. We're going to be pointed up above 92,150. It's very bullish to see all of these pivots so far below price. 5 days currently flipped to the upside with volatility expansion, and we pointed up above 106. 3 days currently pointed down with volatility contraction, so you should be looking for a higher low, and you'll be pointed down below 111. Not quite. But sort of, we kind of got a retested that 90 EMA right here, kind of front ran it a little bit. Daily is also positioned to the downside with volatility expansion, and will be pointed down below 111,300. $12 hours currently freshly flipped up after this last close that we had, and we are rejecting getting out of the bullish control zone, and will be pointed up above 109,350. And a 4 hours currently freshly flipped to the upside, and it will remain up as long as you're above around 107.5. So it looks that like the pullback could be in on crypto, as long as we are above about $107,500. Down a little bit lower. 2 hours now giving us a fresh silver cross to the upside on Bitcoin, and we're just about to get a nice retest of this 9 EMA. So it does look like we could go a little bit lower to about 109.4s, maybe 109 flat, but I do expect that to be our local bottom at that point. Very interesting. So all of the high time frames on crypto remain extremely bullish. You have momentum pointing to the upside, which never flipped down on the quarterly. And on Tether, it's always remained to the downside, never flipped up, despite all of the moves, the massive swings that we've had. We have Bitcoin crashing all the way down to $74,000. Tether never flipped up on the quarterly, while Bitcoin never flipped down. Sure, we went below the pivot on Bitcoin, but we never closed below that pivot, so momentum remains to the upside. And now we're forming hidden bullish divergence on the monthly, about to invalidate bearish divergence. You have Tether looking absolutely bearish as fuck. You're putting in hidden bearish divergence on Tether on the monthly. All of the lower time frames on Tether are flipped to the downside, whereas Bitcoin are currently all flipped to the upside. Bitcoin is only down on the 2-day and currently flipped down, and the daily is flipped down, but the 12 hours now freshly flipped up. The 4 hours flipping up, you're putting in some divergences, hidden bullish divergences, and you're about to get a retest of the 2 hour silver cross. So it does look like as long as you're above 109, specifically more exactly about 107.5, it does look like the local bottom is probably in, and we could probably retest our current all-time highs. And the next time it'll be close over our all-time highs, about not even exactly our all-time highs. You can do a little bit lower, about 110. you're probably going to get some volatility expansion from that 2-week and the hidden bullish divergence to take you somewhere out to around 115 to 116. The next level above 115 to 116, if you get a daily close, is 125. And the next level above 125 is about 148. Lose 97.5 on a daily closing basis, though, and you're very likely going to dump to somewhere around 91s. And because of how many times we've retested 91s, probably going to go to the 80s. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I do think we're going to get very shallow pullbacks, if any at all, and probably going to go towards new all-time highs over the next couple of weeks. And maybe we'll get a pullback of like $2,000 or $3,000 along the way at each resistance. But you should be grateful to get those, because those are going to be massive opportunities. And I do think this is one of those presidential liquidation times where every single bear in sight gets taken out.
Good job, senor. We're going to jump in. Oh, yeah, I'm not muted. To the euro dollar.
Some euro action. Let me see here. Actually, it's, doing kind of. Wait, what'd you say?
Forex is open?
Well, yeah, we only have a U.S. Holiday. The rest of the markets around the world are open.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Farhan, the United States is not the center of the universe.
I thought it was.
I thought it was too. Wait a minute. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, exactly. Everyone's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, we're just in this range on euro. I mean, talked about here, we actually took out that wick high, but this was just an ugly bear trap. Took it out, and then we closed basically back in the range, and then here we came all the way down to the 9. We overshot the 9, front running support slightly, use that as a spring almost, and then went up. For me now, I mean, we're just in this range now, so it seems to me like, if you're a bull, you're waiting on basically this wick high to get reclaimed. That'll shoot you up to the 119s. And right, you need a weekly close, in my opinion, to actually confirm that and then hold it. You don't want this, and then you're longing on lower time frames on the reclaim, and then you get trapped. That's why the higher time frame reclaims will be important here. Or as a bear now, I mean, this weekly 9 will move up closer to that 1.1255 level. If you start losing that weekly 9, great confirmation that you're probably going to test the 21, which is going to be right at the next zone, right at 1.10318. So for me now, you're just kind of in a wait and see mode, in my opinion. Euro is bullish, though. I mean, it's above the weekly 9. We've perfectly held above that SMA 200, which was basically holding us down since 2021. Yes, you've had many, these mini moments essentially where bulls think they're about to get some clarity, move up, and then they just SFP and get slapped down. Same with here. Finally, we're reclaiming that weekly SMA 200. Even tried to hold the back test here, made that higher high. Boom, smack down. So this is good price action. I mean, you broke out from that SMA 200. It's a big spot. The point being is, if you really do start rolling over, you have a lot of points where this should get support before, it breaks down, being the extremity spot at the SMA 200. It's kind of like your spot. Like, as long as you're above the weekly SMA 200, this is going to be more bullish than bearish. You start losing that while losing the weekly 9, deviating the meme line at 1.11, basically $1.10. Yeah, that these are all signs. But as long as you're holding above that SMA 200, and what you're noticing now is that weekly EMA 100 crossing above that 200 SMA, SMA 200. I said it the opposite way. That's bullish, and we actually haven't seen that since basically here in January of 2022. Now close to a top, but you're not really gauging that as is this toppy or bottoming. It's just more, this is bullish. You're having a fast moving average on a very high time frame cross above the slow moving average, which is the SMA 200, which just again shows strength in the chart for me. So, we're just kind of now in this range. You're, as a bull, not really looking to bid this. This is like in the gray zone. Rather, you want to pull back. You want this to test support again. You broke out. So, Forex plays really to the book. You should get a bullish retest very minimally before maybe moving up, or maybe you get a few bites of the apple right here. So long as this support at 1.12567 is holding, this will look as like bullish consolidation, while the EMA 9 on the weekly moves up, matching more where support is. You know, you really can't even complain about this monthly. This is exactly what you'd want. Insane hammerhead, reclaim of the EMA 100, holding it too. You know, into next month, the euro could literally, like, you could see the EMA 100 move slightly up, closer to the meme line. Ideally, if it, you know, makes it easy for us, you could see into basically June a retest of that. You know, and ideally, the EMA 100 will keep holding, and that'll kind of be what moves us up. There's the last occurrences where euro actually held the EMA 100 on the monthly. So we see here, we reclaimed it, lost chop, right? It's all chop here. You reclaimed it, you expanded from it. Again, chop couldn't hold the throwback. And then here you again reclaimed it and then expanded. So let's just see each time it's reclaimed, which is at very minimum, even though this was still chop, see kind of how much it went up from that. So like 3.25%, definitely not bad. And then here, 2.2%. Okay. You still got bullish momentum when you were holding it. The point being is you just need that to hold. If you're noticing here, you had chop, yes, but you really didn't break down until what? You started to really stay under that EMA 100 on the monthly. Both times led to big dumps. Here's another one. You know, you lost it, stayed under it, and that's just really what exacerbated the move down. It was a little harder here because you lost it, but you had support at that SMA 200. That was kind of the silver lining for bulls here, and we kind of played within that moving average range. But now let's see when we've reclaimed it and held, right? And so you could argue we're somewhere around here now. If we can actually get the reclaim and we can actually hold it, this could just be the, in my opinion, start of something big for euro, which would be a move back to the SMA 200. I mean, generally, if you're going to stay above the EMA 100 on the monthly specifically, which is strong, you should hold this and you should expand from it, giving you the next target to the SMA 200. And then that's the major spot for euro. I mean, again, it's like, yes, this was kind of the start of something. This getting back above the SMA 200 was really, that's when the fun began for bulls. I mean, from this point, you went up bigly. I mean, 42%. That's crazy. Right. So it's like the reclaim took you 8% up, but once you actually reclaim that SMA 200, that's where the fun was for bulls. And then that's it. I mean, it populated in 87. So you can see here again, though, we were technically above that. It populated here. So we were above it in this range here. Again, just very bullish momentum on that, on this chart. Consistent uptrend here. Again, just wasn't really until you first lost the EMA 100, stayed under it. You moved to the SMA 200, K rallied up, and you lost the EMA 100, moved back to the SMA 200, lost both, boom, terribleness for euro. So now that we know that, where are we? Well, we're still holding above the EMA 100, so very bullish. Ties into what I was saying more on the lower time frames when I first started this analysis, which was euro's looking quite bullish. As long as it can hold support, you know, we're just now within a range on the lower time frames. On the monthly, though, what we're seeing is, yeah, this is holding what we want to hold. So into next month, I mean, if this EMA 100 moved slightly more up, closer to the meme line, would it pull back to support surprise you? Should not, no. And that should just, each time that it bounces from that, makes it stronger. We just need to see expansion. What you don't want is, you know, you just keep doing this and that and this, and then maybe one more move up and then down, and then you break down. No, you want like, okay, you reclaimed it, you threw it back, let's hold it, and let's expand. Next target being the SMA 200, which is now right at basically $1.20. This will move down, though, into next month. Ideally, it shifts more down to around here. And then now we have a very easy setup where as long as we're above, as long as we're holding support, you should see $1.19. Now, we need to really see how this could if I think Dixie's bottomed, this is totally countering that idea, which is based on the euro chart, the fact that the monthly EMA 100 is holding, the fact that the support's holding, it's got reclaimed on the lower time frames. Let me go to like the 2-day. here, so it's like, okay, well, it still isn't wrong to think that Dixie's bottomed. And right now, if we go to the bear side, it's going to be the same thing I said on Dixie. Whereas on the weekly, bulls are going to need a higher low on Dixie. Whereas bears here are going to need to see the rollover. This was the liquidity grab. This is where we can't break here. We don't want to see this get reclaimed on a weekly close. This needs to literally roll over, lose the weekly 9, and then take out that low. This will then look top to me. But, bull scenarios lead to a pullback, right? It's like this will pull back. Bulls need this to hold. Boom, there's your bullish scenario, so up or down. Bears need this to just roll over here. But my point being is there's more things on the chart than like hoping that price divergence plays out, telling me that Euro's quite bullish. And so now we go to Dixie, right? I wanted this to be the higher low. Didn't see Euro before this though. And so let's dissect this chart and see maybe this isn't bottomed. Let's see. So now we have an easy point of reference here. I'm curious to see what this looks like on the 2-week. Yeah, interesting. So like if in the next 2-week close, if Dixie loses this SMA 200, because this was basically guiding my idea of a bottom, and it's not dumb to assume that this SMA 200 on the 2 weeks, insanely strong. This is like a big spot for any chart, SMA 200, but it being on a 2-week. Need to see this hold essentially. This is it. So this will literally either be a weekly higher low that's going to probably lead this 2-week up to test maybe that 9 again. Or yeah, you're going to start really seeing this breakdown confirmed once you take April 14th low. And then like I said with Dixie here, I mean, if this really doesn't grind out that higher low on the weekly, this really could start dumping hard. Next target being for me $93.41. It just would basically erase all this move up. Kind of makes sense if you think about it. It's like only really getting supported on that 2-week SMA 200, which still granted is holding. Like it's still holding, but it's like last 2-week close, you had a major like topping candle here, major rejection down. But like what I always say, up bears still couldn't lose that SMA 200 on the 2-week. So you do have to look at that as just more interesting. And are bulls trying to push this up at this zone? Forex to me is not the most clear at this moment. It's like my heart wants to say this is bottomed, but my brain is telling me this is definitely not bottomed yet. And that's just why I just stick to what I know. And the Euro is bullish. The daily EMA 100 still above it. Weekly 9 held, and the monthly EMA 9. We're still above that, and even more so holding above the EMA 100. Right? We were talking about this reclaim would take us to the EMA 100. That worked. And now if this is going to hold, this reclaim will take us to the SMA 200. Still a pretty meaty move too. Current price action, it's still a 5.57% move. Curious to see how big of a move it would be if, oh, look at that. That's actually really interesting. 5.7%. So yeah, for me now that I'm looking at Euro, I'm not honestly wanting I recant my statement that Dixie has bottomed here. I'm cautiously bullish, but we'll quickly change that idea if this 2-week estimate 200 doesn't hold. It's kind of like it. This is like the last stand. And that's shown on the monthly even here. This monthly, which is now closing before the 2 weeks, and now we have a better point of reference on if we're wrong sooner. This monthly closes like this, loses that EMA 100. Yeah, GG bulls. This is probably cooked. And probably going to end up going to $93 within the next 3 months, in my opinion. Yeah, so let's see here. Can see when Dixie actually lost that monthly EMA 100. It was pretty violent and brutal. Keep in mind, we've been holding above that since essentially August of 2021. So a few years we've been above it. It reminds me of similar to like here. That 1998 was up a few years. It's like 4 years it was above it. I think not good at math, but the point being is once you lost that monthly EMA 100, which definitely could confirm in 4 days, I mean, that basically gave you the free move to the SMA 200. And just similar to what I said on Euro on the 2-week, if this loses the monthly SMA 200, any chart that loses the monthly SMA 200, it's cooked in my book. It's just cooked until it gets above it. And then you can see, okay, finally, we reclaimed it. We held it. Cool. We got above it. But yeah, this isn't good if we start losing this EMA 100. If you start losing that, you're going to get a move back down to like 93s. And then you kind of need that to hold, or there's something really dramatically wrong with the dollar then, which is interesting to see. Because going into, let's say, in the beginning of this month, I was pretty bullish on the dollar. I wanted this to bottom. It did pump. I mean, it did pump, but now we're back in a downtrend. So, and that's just shown here with the higher lows. We took them out. Now we're just lower high, lower low, which is kind of ugly. So that's what I have on Dixie. I'm now curious to see. Let's go back here to the monthly and see what this looks like. Yikes. So this isn't a monthly breakdown even. I mean, volatility, when did it start to expand? Let me do this. So it was expanding in favor of bulls, but then that quickly changed. I know the 2-month on Euro and I think Dixie, had a setup. Damn. So this is actually, I think, closing next month. So still a very long time, of course, but yeah, this is interesting because what you're seeing is into maybe next month or July. This 2 months going to fire off, and well, as it stands, this is very bearish. You're hoping, it's literally what I said. It's like you just kind of need 93.40s to hold. If that doesn't hold though, there's really nothing but air. I mean, let me see. I don't have any. I thought I had a meme line here. I guess not. Well, that's easy. Can just draw another meme line. So, I mean, if this doesn't hold, easily going to test this zone here around 88. That's kind of like the extremity low. You could look at it, and then you kind of would need like 84s to hold, or you're in the gutter on the dollar. I'll just say that it just would not really be good. Right, just draw enough lines until it matches your bias. No, but I mean, in all realness, the dollar's not looking good. I honestly thought it was gonna, recover more into this month, and it just did not. Rather it just basically heavily rejected resistance, which was basically holding the lows. You have to look at this. I'll make this white as well, so it's more flows better, right? It's like this was a range of support. Big, yes, but was a range. You had the extremity lows of the wicks, and then here the closures. This unfortunately rejected both, and then now has led to a disgusting candle with a 2-month BBWP setup looking like it's about to fire off. And then luckily for us, the quarterly is actually closing. Let's see what we see here, because this is interesting. So 34 held on that dump, and then here we got a bounce. I mean, it really hasn't been, at least in this range, from like 2015, what I'm viewing. You had one close under that 34 and it got bought up. Another close, so chop, but then that EMA 100 held. Okay. So then here, it's kind of like, this is really like you need basically the 34 to hold here. If it doesn't, you're going to get a measured move to, in my opinion, this zone, which is right at 96 to 95. SMA 200 or the EMA 100, and then that's it. You need that to hold. If that doesn't hold, this chart is probably going to go back to these lows at $88.34, but most likely around 84, like 60. And that's just based on where we're at. I mean, the 34 needs to hold here. This was major resistance down to 34. Should be major support. So this should hold ideally. And then if it doesn't, well, it's again just the last stand. You can see before the EMA 100 and SMA 200 populated here, once you lost that quarterly 34, it was kind of it. I mean, that just led to a major move down. And any move up would just get solidly rejected on the 34, essentially. And same thing. Once you reclaimed it, it did well. So the point being is that Euro's in a very interesting spot of potentially busting up. Unsure why. I mean, macro fundamentals really do play hand in hand here. But I will say this. I'm still going to say cautiously that Dixie's bottomed just because of how ugly this candle is. Can it really be that easy? We're just going to break down from here. I'm sure a lot of people shorted this. For me, it's just going to be dependent on this SMA 200 now. If Dixie ends up losing this SMA 200 plus the monthly EMA 100, I am then going to be greatly on the camp that this has not bottomed. But if, let's say, the monthly, which very easily could move up 7 cents, gets back above the EMA 100, closes above there, and then the 2-week holds above the SMA 200, you'll have to really wonder if this was just kind of baiting bears and doing what I was saying, which is putting in structure. Often when you're putting in structure here, it's not easy. You do kind of have to throw darts in the air sometimes. For me, though, there's no trade. You don't really need to trade off of this. If you want a long, the only invalidation is this low here. Seems kind of aggressive to me. I would rather I will confirm that Dixie is at least locally bottomed once we get back above that EMA 100 on the 2-week. We can get back above the EMA 100 on the 2-week. That's at 102.37. That would mean then that we're now back above this range. We're back above the 34. We're now pressing the EMA 100. By this time, it should be down around there, 102.37. It's at 102.84, ideally. The weekly here will be back above the weekly 9, something we really haven't seen since this trap move in February. But then most importantly, we'll be, again, testing right around that weekly SMA 200. So that's why for me, I just feel like line in the sand. Like we can say I think it's bottom, but there's no confirmation yet. For me, it really just will be once we start holding that 2-week EMA 100. For Euro, if we want to call it top, it'll be once the 2-week loses the SMA 200. Now just back within this range. Easy target can be, the 1.10381. And then, right, if the weekly starts really losing this, that'll be kind of your first sign. Like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is a lower high confirmed with the weekly 9 getting lost. We saw the reaction here, got a very nice bounce. This should hold. And ideally in the next 2 weeks, this will keep moving up. So we're just in a range still. We're at a very critical spot on the dollar right now, where this really does need to start moving in the next 4 days. This can't close like this. Or I will be wrong on this bottoming, and this will have more of a measured move down to the low 90s, just based on the monthly view. And even if we just like more statistics, this isn't a monthly breakdown anyways, so it's really not the most absurd thing. So we'll see. I mean, really, if you're not positioned on Forex, you should just wait for the monthly. The monthly will really give you a lot of data and will absolutely guide you on, kind of the next move into June. So that's it, really. The criteria now, if you're a Euro bull, is you absolutely need that EMA 100 to get lost on the monthly, because in doing so, that could lead into a very bad 2-week. That's it. Very bad 2-week would mean any loss of that SMA 200 will confirm that, this is probably going to go to 93.40 for me. But as we see now, it is at support. Monthly hasn't closed yet, and this could very easily trap extremely horny shorts front running this breakdown that has yet to, in my opinion, solidify because of just where we're at on these very high time frames. So hopefully that made sense. It's very interesting though, seeing Forex this hot, because I'm telling you, Dixie is at an insanely big level right now. So it's kind of exciting.
Let's see, Dixie. Oh, monthly 2008.
If this Ukraine war does end, though, probably see Dixie put in some massive ability being dildos.
Hang on.
Because there's going to be like printing.
The chart's saying that something's going to come out. I mean, I don't know if it already has come out and we're just seeing the breakdown happen now, but it's like Dixie is either going to bigly pump from this point soonish, or it's about to collapse and go down. Collapse in quotation marks and just go to the low.
Let me tell you, if we want to have a strong currency like the European currency right now, very strong on a 1 second. Let me put it right here. See how strong that is since 2008. Very strong.
Oh, wow.
And the dollar since 2008, very weak. So if we want to get,
sums it up. Oh, damn.
If well, it's the other way around. That was just being retarded.
No, but visually, it really does. Like, you have a solid breakout on Euro. That's interesting to see that, because everything else is telling me that, and it's like that has been basically, that channel has been solidified since I don't even know, years. So that's interesting to see that.
2008.
Yeah.
To now. So you can have a breakout or an SFP right in here, like a fake out, and then down. Now we have some things to consider. the euro looking this strong makes sense. They've lowered interest rates. They're printing more money than ever. They're in a war that they can't fix with Russia, and that they're terrified of like what's going to happen. They don't produce anything. Their car manufacturing, which is one of the strongest things that holds them alive, is in the toilet. And all of the European companies are coming to the US and investing billions of dollars in the US. So if we want to do what the euro is doing, all we need to do is open our borders again, lower rates, print more money, according to the logic that's playing right now. Does that make any sense? No. Now, I'm going to tell you using another example that's easier for us to understand. Peso, US dollar, right? This is the dollar strength against the peso. So 1994, it's been on the dollar has been on an uptrend against the peso, right? This is the strongest uptrend I've ever seen on any Forex so far, because at least the euro, before it entered that downtrend in 2008, was on an uptrend before. This is just a straight up one direction play. Every time it goes down here, that's 2008. You know what I mean? This is 2020. This is the bounce of 2008. Like it's very important dates. This is what I'm doing with my pesos. Today at 1902, I'm gonna put the other third of my pesos of what I have. I'm gonna make it into dollars. And if ever we get to the level of 1890 or like right here, that's where I'm going to buy my third, like I'm going to spend my third bag on dollars, and I'm going to get rid of all my pesos if we get here. This could be a gift from God. What and the reason why is simple. One more time. Every fucking country in the universe is investing and bringing all of their factories here into the United States and committing billions and trillions of fucking dollars. We haven't lowered rates, which makes the dollar even more attractive. I understand that everyone thinks that debt is a problem, but every country has a debt problem, every single one. And the dollar is the base of every single one of their currencies, and they need to pay they need to pay for creating more money and devaluating their currency in dollars, which is harder to get. Okay. So tell me, why in the fuck? How is the United States dollar going to go down when every country's in the shithole right now? It makes, I mean, and again, I'm making my bet. I'm laying in it. I'm making my own trade saying dollar should be bottoming soon, very soon. And this is just basically retarded. And it's just kind of like the narrative of the 10-year yield, which everyone keeps going at it and saying, oh, the 10-year yield, Ray Dalio. Like, dude, we topped right here. That was October 23rd. Ever since, we've been making lower highs. And we made this lower low, obviously, with a minimum one. So you're playing this stupid fucking game. So at some point, this shit's going to break to the downside. And the reason why is when every single country starts investing so much money in here, you get a productivity fucking kaboom with AI, which we're going to get in the for the next 2 to 3 years. Human productivity will fucking increase like a motherfucker. Like it is already in the big companies, but it will bleed into the other sectors. This is literally
very similar to right after World War II, and all of Europe started investing heavily in America. And then there was a huge boom.
Yes, it's thank you. Actually, that's identical. This is why it's so hard for me to believe that the European Union isn't doing anything. Why would anyone want to have their money in euros instead of dollars? Like, it makes no sense.
I mean, just visit one European airport, and you're going to want to get all of your funds the fuck out of there.
You know what I mean? That place is crazy. Absolutely crazy. They're not doing anything other than regulating everyone.
They don't even know how to do their jobs whenever they are doing their jobs.
No.
And in Switzerland, they were telling us that we need some QR code to enter Cancun.
That was ridiculous.
I mean, dude, it's Europe. So you know what I mean? Like, if I'm looking at the Europe just alone, I'm sorry, there's no way on earth this is not a fake breakout. Even if you get to here, that's still a lower high from here in 2021, in 18. And well, what can I tell you about this, right? Even if we get to the 1-2, that's still a lower high, and then eventually should break down aggressively towards the downside. Because once again, there's the social programs, like Europe is doing what Argentina is doing right now. They're at the stage where everything looks propped up and everyone really like is believing their propaganda, but there's nothing to show for it. There's literally BMW, Mercedes, all those guys are going bankrupt, and now they have to come to the US. Even Korean fucking companies, Samsung and all of those, are coming to the US. There's more. So I'm sorry.
That's why I said, like, my gut wants to say Dixie's bottomed. My brain says it's not, just how the charts look. But I will say this: if we do go to a 120 on euro, that probably correlates into the peso hitting that 1845, 1850 area, and then bottoming. So,
is the British pound also moving up?
They all are against the dollar right now.
Yeah. So my point being, though, like, yes, like euro going to 120 isn't a death sentence, and Dixie going to 93s isn't a crazy thing yet. Just percentage wise, kind of big, but 5% is not crazy because we trade crypto. But I mean, I could see that, euro hits 120, the peso hits, 1850, 1880, and then that's just a major trap. Or it rolls over now. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we have to see kind of maybe some news flow.
So here
soon to see a green deal.
Remember, fellas, you can trade these wonderful assets on BTCC with 500x leverage.
That's right. That's absolutely right, sir. Thank you. So here, I think this is where we at right now in the euro. This is what's happening in the euro right before this type of move. So this is the British pound. This is 1972 to right now. It's been on a constant decline, right? Like you can see it. And then it had this moment in 2000, and then it topped in 2007, which is when the US got into a recession, and then balls, dude. And just now, like even in 2022, it made a lower low than this one that he did in 1985. Here's a British pound. I actually think British pound can go back one more time to test this right here and then go down. My thesis has always been that towards the end of the year, the dollar is going to be the one that's strong, or first quarter of the third year. That's always been. I haven't moved it. I don't know how low these things can go, but it makes no sense. But I'm still taking advantage of the opportunities, which is why I'm whatever I have here that's getting more valuable than the dollar, I'm going to flip it to the dollar because the dollar is going to be worth way more, right? Yeah. So I think this type of move would be right. And this is just going to be what's going to happen to the euro. Exactly this.
Yeah, yeah. But it could just be a false breakout. I mean, because even if you're looking at the yen versus dollar versus the yen, I mean, the quarterly, it needs to bounce here. The quarterly needs to bounce here. So
hang on. So this one is one of my favorite charts, because this is another one that everyone is absolutely hallucinating about what's going on here. Because no one looks at the charts. They just look at the headline and they're like, oh, it's over. It's over. So let me just give you some context on this 1 second.
I've never understood why people can't seem to understand that CNBC is not trying to give you the tools to win.
It's not only CNBC, it's also like most of the TradFi people that live. Basically, dude, anyone that watches the news is going with the same narrative. It's kind of crazy. And they all think that they're off the mainstream, which is insane. So number one, when we had the big problem with the euro, with the yen, I'm sorry, was right here. This is when everyone said that the reverse carry trade was going to destroy the United States, right? This top. They're saying the same thing right here. Everyone is saying this. The yen has to go here. It has to go beyond, like, they need to get absolutely obliterated, these motherfuckers in Japan. Obliterated. And that's going to happen up here. Not where they are right now. So because
the HBDR on the quarterly shows that hold the median, get a move back up to 160. So
and we go to Tokyo when that happens.
So,
On the,
I
on the
mean,
quarterly. It's on
and
the
it's
HDR. So it's like
there you
bottom
go.
here. Yeah, bottom here.
Yeah.
Go back to 160.
There you go. And it's also right at the SMA 200,
Yeah, exactly.
which should find a nice floor right here and around the median, which is also at 145, and then go back up here. And then probably the 61.8%, 170. And this will be when everyone's screaming that it's Japan's fault, but no one's understanding that this is a currency problem in all currencies, including the fucking pound. And look, the pound is getting to the top part of the blue zone, which never hasn't happened in. This is the only time he broke out of the blue zone in 2018, a little bit, and just with a wick.
And quarterly on USD JPY is now putting in possible hidden bullish divergence.
Oh, look at that. Right at the spot needs the bottom too.
Come on, son. Come the fuck on. Hey, I don't care about macro. I don't care about what anyone says. But when there's obvious things happening, which is an injection of capital to an economy, and there's that capital is leaving and fleeing the other economies, they're just playing the trade right now. And the trade for the United States consists, in my view, of a couple things. Number one, bonds. You want a lot of people to buy your debt again. So you're offering these rates, and you're going to lock a lot of people into these rates. Does that make sense? So you're telling basically everyone that's going to come and invest in the United States, you're also going to buy some debt from us and to other countries. And we're going to give you this rate right now, which is much better than everyone is offering right now around the world. Like the European Union is not offering that. Germany's not offering that. No one's offering this. And this is with the dollar. And then you're going to hold that note, and the dollar is going to appreciate like a motherfucker. So your dollars are going to be paying you a lot more than they would have in the last few decades. Does that make sense? So right now, what you're offering is high value on those bonds. So what you're saying is, loan me some money, and I'm going to make you a fuckload of money. That's what the United States is doing. And if you hold the US dollar down right now, you're offering a cheap entry into that deal. That's the way I see it.
That makes sense, actually, a lot.
That's the way I see it. I could be absolutely wrong. I've been wrong all of my life and with everything and about everything and everyone, but this could be also right. So let's see it.
Just a little pat ski on the back ski. Do you guys remember when your favorite artist said Dixie was going below 100?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Little pat ski on the back ski.
Nailed. Like Kim Kardashian in Cabo with a video camera. Nailed.
Didn't Kanye say he wants to recreate that video?
I don't know. Dude, those dudes are completely out of control. The whole thing that's going on with Diddy getting fucking jizzed by all these dudes on his nipples and other places, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I don't understand how that case is not more public. I've never heard such disgusting
Everything I've heard about that case has been against my will.
Me too. Which is really weird. But here I am doing the same to you, boys. All right, let me do this one. We'll jump into Rivian now. Ok, estamos viendo el euro contra el dólar. Importante, lo vamos a poner en la trimestral y nos vamos a echar algo para atrás para que entendamos, ¿no? Lo que hemos estado viendo a través del tiempo. El dólar a partir del 2008 ha estado en una tendencia alcista. De abajo del canal hasta arriba del canal, abajo del canal hasta arriba del canal, abajo del canal. Lo que debería de seguir es arriba del canal, justamente en los 122. Pero también podemos decir, yo sé que es el euro lo que preguntaste, pero ahorita vamos a llegar a ello. Pero también importante notar en esta tabla que si tienes un breakdown en la trimestral, lo que debería de aguantar más o menos por acá sería esta zona. Ahora, ¿podría ocurrir esto? Tal vez. Personalmente espero que sí, para hacer mi último cambio de pesos. Ahorita ya les conté que hice uno, ahorita les voy a contar otra vez para que lo tengan en mente. Ahora, llévate este mínimo en los 89 y olvídalo. Todo lo que estoy diciendo está absolutamente mal, pésimo. pésimo. Nunca en tu puta vida vuelvas a ver este canal conmigo. Solamente escucha a Alex y a Farhan. Nada de lo que te digo va en serio. Esto acá va a ser lo que no podemos romper. Esta va a ser mi línea en la arena, que no podemos romper. Esto sería la oportunidad de Dios en el dólar, ¿no? Porque sí hemos visto que hemos tenido un SFP muy leve, valga la pena decirlo. Instantáneamente que cerraste abajo de esto, subiste y te volviste a meter al canal, y esta vela roja lo único que hizo fue hacer un flush out de toda la gente que creyó que se equivocó, y luego tuviste este zampompazo a la alza. Ahora, aquí tienes el S&P 200 en los 96.6, el EMA 100 en los 95 en la trimestral. Te voy a llevar a poner la de 6 meses. Esta es mi tabla favorita en el dólar y en cualquier tipo de Forex. Tienes justamente el rebote en el promedio del 21. Había sido resistencia acá, lo convertimos en soporte, pum, pum, debería de aguantar. ¿Cuál es el siguiente punto? Una vez más, 95, más o menos 95, que nos pone en la misma coyuntura en la que estábamos antes, justamente acá. De poder aguantar esto será un huicazo probablemente, y luego veas esto y luego esto. Eso es como más o menos jugaría. Recuerda, son temporalidades muy altas, por lo que va a tomar muchísimo tiempo en jugar todo esto. No va a ser temprano. Cuando yo digo que vamos a ver el rebote del dólar, etcétera, estoy hablando de fines de este año o el primer cuarto del siguiente año. No he cambiado de opinión nada en eso, se los he dejado tal cual. La razón por qué es porque lo que estamos viendo es mentira. Esta es una oportunidad para venderle a todo el mundo que quiere invertir en Estados Unidos un dólar barato y un dólar, voy a irme a la de 10 años, que paga bien. Un dólar que no ha pagado esto desde el 2008-2007. Y ahora, esto va para abajo. No está haciendo nuevos máximos de estos en los, ¿cómo se dice? Me lleva la chingada, en los bonos. No, no lo está haciendo. Déjeme limpio tantito esta tabla. Me voy a deshacer de todo, no necesito absolutamente ni vergas. No es como que no lo puedo volver a hacer. Remove. Ahí está. Ahí lo tienes. Ahora, estos son los intereses, ¿ok? La cosa y lo que espantó a todo el mundo con lo de los intereses fue, vienes de acá, un segundo, vienes de acá a esto, y aquí tienes un breakout, pero no es bien y oficialmente medido perfectamente. Yo lo pondría más usando los mínimos. Ahora, la cosa aquí es, tienes ¿cómo se dice? Los bonos en la parte más baja de toda la historia, el rendimiento de los bonos. Esta es la peor oferta que hizo Estados Unidos de deuda en toda la historia. Cuando le dijo a sus bancos, papi, hazme hipotecas de 2% y quédate con hipotecas de 30 años a 2% que no te paga nada, lo mismo con préstamos de coches y todo. Ahora que estamos trayendo inversión a Estados Unidos, lo que estamos haciendo es, te ofrezco un dólar barato que está acá o en esta situación, y además un dólar que paga mejor, un dólar que paga mejor que ha pagado por 20 años. Lo puedes ver acá. Si pongo esto, una línea acá, podrás ver todo esto, 2002 para abajo, 2007 hasta el 2020, está aquí abajo. Y ahora te estamos ofreciendo el dólar barato para que compres acá y un dólar que te paga 4,5% en lo que está barato. ¿Y qué es lo que pasa después? El dólar va a subir de precio y los bonos van a bajar. Eso es lo que yo creo estamos viviendo en este momento, simplemente económicamente hablando, por todas las empresas que van a estar entrando en Estados Unidos. Una vez más, estoy repitiendo lo que ya vi ocurrió en México en los últimos 5 años con nearshoring, y eso fue culpa de Estados Unidos, y ahorita es literalmente reshoring en Estados Unidos. Por lo que no hay manera que le diga a todos ustedes con certeza que este euro, que viene en tendencia bajista del 2008, exactamente lo contrario al dólar, esté rompiendo al alza. Y voy a quitar todas mis líneas una vez más. Que está rompiendo al alza. Aquí tienes un cruce plateado a la baja. Este es el retesteo de tu cruce plateado. On the 6 month, this is a silver cross to the downside. And it's the first one ever in history on the euro dollar, by the
And
way.
that would just be a nice little retest of it.
That's what I just said too. Oh, guys, it's like I'm learning from you. It's crazy. What? I didn't know you could learn at 40. That's insane.
No, it's impossible to learn anything once you're over 35.
Here you go.
Oh, nice.
On the 6 month chart. So this is their little retest of it. This is the 34 up here, 55 and 21. And I would expect it to go 1-1, and then I would expect it to just melt down below 95 cents.
It seems to me like the quarterly and the 6 month are telling us that next month is going to be extremely huge for Forex. That's just what I'm interpreting, because we're getting a 6 month, the 3 month, they're all at insanely important spots, as shown on like the yen. Probably see some insane volatility next month on Forex.
I also like this. The median, he did a pre-front run of the median.
Yeah, I see that. Interesting.
That means bottom part of the blue zone, 1.04, 61.8%, 0.97. I find it so hard to believe it'll go to 131. I think this was the top.
Yeah, 6 month has a good view, actually.
I don't think it's going to 131. Very unlikely.
No, 120 max, maybe that, but it's not even confirmed yet. That's the thing. And I do think that Dixie Bears front running the breakdown may get hurt because, well, nothing's confirmed yet. I mean, it's just all at like the.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're betting against the United States of America. It doesn't usually end well.
That's what I'm saying. And especially right,
it's not smart.
And especially right now, it's really stupid with everything that we're seeing. Someone on, of course, on X was arguing. I posted, the US is bringing so much money to the US that he's like, Trump is saying that he's not doing it. Biden did it. This is what I'm saying. If you watch the news, you're retarded. Biden brought all the microchip companies. Biden brought Samsung to the US. Like they brought the battery technology guys. They brought the microchip computer, like the microchip guys. Like Biden started doing this. He also built all
fries people's brains. Politics fries people's brains.
Yeah, it doesn't let you see the truth. So there's a lot of productivity entering the United States, a lot of money, and Biden with the Build Back Better created a lot of factories that are empty. No one understood. I never understood that. I was like, why the fuck is this old man building factories that are empty? And now we kind of understand, because all the people that Trump is making come into the United States needs a factory, a brand new factory, and they're already built. Isn't that wild? And no one knows this because it's public information, but everyone's just hearing the stupid, retarded shit that they say on the news, missing out on all these beautiful gains.
Because the Trump people can't acknowledge anything good Biden's done, and the Biden people can't acknowledge anything good that Trump has done. So they're in the end of the cycle where they just jerk each other off for their own political biases and never really make any. They don't even make any trades. So forget making any money.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Look, this is also interesting. Since basically 2009, you haven't closed above the median on the 6 month. This kind of did, but it was like literally at the median right here. And then you fucking went down afterwards. This rejected you in 2018. 2018 was a very important year for Forex all around the world. Like if you look at peso, I don't understand why, but he did. And he did this rejection. Above, we kind of went a little above in 2020. This is the worst United States moment of all, which is when we were loaning money to the borrowing and loaning money to at the cheapest rate possible. And then it just fucking went down again. Like you only had like little moments where it moved above. This right here seems prime for a rejection, in my view.
There's some good crypto news right now. Trump
What?
Media Group plans to raise $3 billion to spend on cryptocurrencies. This man, Trump, really loves pumping the market.
He really absolutely does. And by the way, everyone adores it.
The Donald Pump.
The famous Donald Pump. Y ahora estamos viendo en el euro, pueden verlo con el HPDR en la de 6 meses. Son mis movimientos favoritos. Solamente hemos cerrado desde 1900, desde el 2007, por encima de la media una vez. Digo, no, perdón, esa no es la media, qué pendejo soy. Es esto en el 2013 y en el 2018 también venimos a que nos rechazara, pudimos cerrar por encima. Y el 2020 tuvo un cierre ligeramente por encima. La última vez que el euro tuvo fuerza y tocó la parte alta de la zona azul fue en el 2009. Y la última vez que salió de la parte alta del 2000 fue el 2008. ¿Alguien se acuerda qué pasó por esas fechas más o menos? El euro está literalmente tocando la media. Tienes el retesteo del cruce plateado a la baja que está pasando acá. El amarillo abajo del naranja. Esto es un retesteo para continuar para abajo. Siguiente objetivo va a ser el 1.10, que es donde está el promedio del 9, pero en total, para mí el 1.04 no va a aguantar, el 1 no va a aguantar y nos vamos al 61.8%, que nos va a dar 97 centavos. Ahora, ¿ha parado acá? No. Al euro le gusta parar casi al 78%, que es 91. Yo creo que por ahí de 93, 95 centavos por dólar es donde lo vamos a ver. Una vez más, tendencia bajista, subes, altos más bajos, y esto todo lo está haciendo desde el 2008 y sobre todo 2020, que es cuando hubo el nuevo paradigma en todo esto. ¿Ok? Entonces, ¿dónde sabemos si nos equivocamos? El euro tiene, si nos podemos acercar un poco más y ponemos la mensual, también puedes ver que estás en la parte alta de la zona azul y ese podría ser el rechazo. ¿Cuándo fue la última vez que te saliste de la zona azul en la mensual? Acá en el 2023. No está tan mal. 1, 2 en el 2020. Y eso fue el fondo del mercado en Estados Unidos, por cierto. Ahora, acá, ¿cómo se vería el 1.20? Llegar hasta el 1.20, que es donde está el S&P 200. ¿Qué harías? ¿No harías un alto más alto? ¿Seguirías comiéndote estos altos más altos del 2020 si haces esto? Porque literalmente quedarías aquí comparado con esos. Y si me voy a echar tantito más para atrás, con los del 2018, ¿y qué te digo de los del 2014? Ahora, ¿dónde estamos equivocados? Y esto va para arriba de 1.20. Arriba de 1.20, con cierres por encima de un 1.20 por 1.20 por euro, eso querría decir que vamos más para arriba y que todo esto está mal. Pero una vez más, yo sé que les dicen muchas cosas en las noticias que tal vez sí lean, pero les voy a decir esto. Biden con Build Back Better creó todas estas fábricas que consideramos eran abandonadas. También trajo y dio incentivos a empresas de batería, tecnología y de microchips. Lo hizo con Samsung, lo hizo con SMCI, lo hizo con AMD, con todas estas empresas que trajeron para acá. Lo hicieron con muchísimas otras. Y ahora estamos invitando a más gente está invirtiendo en Estados Unidos y más gente necesita fábricas y estas fábricas abandonadas que Biden construyó, ahora las podrán utilizar. Perdón, si esto fue lo que pasó en México que hizo que el peso se fuera de 25 a 16.50, el dólar tiene que explotar al alza. Y para mí, este dólar, pueden ver, vean dónde estamos. Vean dónde está el dólar. El dólar, ¿cuándo cae? La parte más culera, la caída más culera que ha tenido el dólar es a este punto. ¿Y este punto qué es? El 88.3%. 95, justamente acá, donde podría ser tranquilamente un bajo más alto en esta zona. Lo pueden ver perfecto. Y ahora, cuando el dólar sube la zona azul, es cuando se va a máximos. El dólar está aquí abajo. Debería frenar entre el 97.5 y el 94. Aquí es donde tiene que encontrar su casa el dólar. Y de ahí, puedes ver, la parte alta de la zona azul está en 110 y la parte alta del 61.8% está justamente donde viene la media del canal acá. Y yo sigo pensando el dólar va a ser un máximo no solamente relativo, no va a ser histórico, y la razón por la que no va a ser histórico es esto. No sé qué haya pasado en ese entonces, ahorita lo vamos a ver. 6 meses, dólar. Acá, esto fue el 85. En el 85 tuvimos al dólar tocar pico en 160. Eso yo no creo lo vamos a tocar. Yo creo que esta línea de acá, que se junta con esta, que fue una toma de liquidez clara, que una vez que la perdimos cayó fuerte, que aquí nos rechazó, ¿no? Esto es como la tabla de XRP, pero en grande. Este fue cuando XRP llegó a 3. Este fue el ciclo pasado donde no llegó a nada, no hizo un máximo histórico. Y este debería ser el nuevo ciclo donde tiene un nuevo máximo. Ahora, de nuevo, personalmente no creo que vaya hasta allá. Yo creo que puede cansarse acá en el 116 hasta el 123. Es donde personalmente creo que el dólar va a jugar. Además, un segundo, efectivamente, we have a silver cross to the upside on the dollar on the 6-month on Dixie.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that.
Right here. And it's the only one in the chart's history.
So probably safe to say the next 2 or 3 years probably gonna see some insane busting action.
Boom. Booyah. Booyah, sir. Absolutely. Y este cruce plateado también del dólar, que es alcista, veniste a retestear el cruce y puedes retestearlo hasta el 55 una vez más, agregando un poco de, ¿cómo se llama? De más validez a nuestra idea que en 95 vaya a encontrar el mínimo más potente de todos, la oportunidad más grande antes del subidón más potente que ha visto el dólar en mucho tiempo. Es lo que creo. Perdiendo los 95 y te llevas este mínimo en los 89, ahí está donde me estoy equivocando por completo y no tengo idea de lo que estoy hablando. Por ahora, el dólar está en una tendencia alcista desde el 2008, continúa en la misma, continúa en el mismo canal. Hemos visto la parte baja del canal ser tocada antes, perdón, justamente acá, y la hemos visto ser tocada acá y la hemos visto ser tocada acá. Así que esto no es mínimo a la media o a la parte alta. Pum, pum, pum. Debería seguir acá el siguiente pum. Con el dólar. El euro, estoy equivocado, si es que llega a pasar del 1.20. El 1.20, una vez que el euro empiece a cerrar y tenga cierres por encima de esa zona, aquí arriba, en el 1.20, está acá. En el 1.20, por encima de este 1.20, llevándote este alto del 2020 en el 1.25, es donde sabes que estamos mal. Es el del 2018. Romperías la tendencia bajista. No te lo pongas tan lejos, 1.23, que es el 2021. Pero tienes un cruce plateado a la baja que está retesteando en este momento, que lo acaba de dar fresco el año pasado, y el dólar tiene ese cruce plateado a la alza en la de 6 meses, que lo dio hace 3 años. Eso quiere decir que venimos apenas a retestearlo. Y por los próximos 3 años el dólar debería de explotar a la alza. Vámonos con Rivian.
Let's share my screen.
Share the goods.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the 2-week now. Because that's the highest time frame that really has data for Rivian. Alright, let's zoom out. Right now, Rivian on the 2-week does have momentum pointed to the upside. It's very, very close to breaking into the bullish control zone, while volatility is also expanding. And then if you notice the jewel is now starting to curve back around and start to lose its sell signal. If you know, we aren't quite in the bearish control zone for this jewel signal, but it's a good amount below the bullish control zone, and you should still see a very respectable move off of that. And where the HPDR is you're over the 38.2%. Where the last time we closed over the 38.2%, it took us up to the 88.3%. This one took us up to the 97%. This one took us to, this one wasn't very much, about 50%. This one was 100%. So pretty safe to say somewhere around the 50% to the 88.3% is where you could expect. We've already hit the 50%, so we'd have to look at the 88.3. And right now that level sits at right above this meme line at about $22.30. If you were to look on the macro, I'm pretty sure that would still be a lower high. Yeah, that would still definitely be a lower high. It's going to take a lot to reverse this in the long time frames.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go to the weekly. Weekly is heavily positioned to the upside, but it's getting a little high. It does like to stay up here for a good amount of time, so it's not really a dead sentence just yet, while volatility is expanding as well. The weekly candle is starting to look a little ugly at this point. We have about, oh, it's not even open, so it's already closed. And weekly has closed as a massive shooting star, and a swing failure of this high and these highs over here and these highs somewhere around here. You're at the very least going to see somewhat of a pullback from here, if not a reversal. I'm on the camp of a pullback instead of a reversal, because
Yeah.
on this weekly open, these are going to be even closer to each other, and you're going to have one more week before the silver cross confirms. So I think you're probably going to come somewhere around this 5 EMA, get a little bit of a bounce from this 5 EMA, but I don't think this is going to be the bottom. I think it's going to be another week for the silver cross to confirm and this 9 EMA to move up, and you're probably going to tap that 9 EMA and then bounce from there. And that one's probably going to be your local bottom. That takes you up to the above the 100 towards this meme line right around $22. So at the Jewel is now still giving us the pink over the yellow, and the light blue now crossing into the bullish control zone. Should see a continuation on this move based on that signal. Doesn't say you won't get a pullback in between, but you should see the signal continue. 5 days also pointing up on momentum and volatility. Same signal on the jewels, the 5-day as the weekly. And right now we are getting a rejection of this the 88.3%. So same idea as before. It's a short-term pullback. The 5 days also forming a silver cross, just like the weekly. Probably tap somewhere around this 5. Same thing on the weekly. Bounce a little bit and then come down to the 9. 2-day. 2-day is now flipping down on momentum while volatility contracts, telling you you're likely going to make a higher low. Same idea as before as the pullback. And that takes us down somewhere around this 38.2% spread. Look at right around like $14. Let's see if it lines up with, let's see, yep, just right around the 9 perfectly. And let's zoom out. Daily is also positioned to the downside on momentum and volatility is contracting, while the daily jewel is starting to give you a sell signal. I don't expect the momentum to make its way to the bearish control zone. I think it's going to flip back around somewhere in the neutral zone or the edge of the bearish control zone. But I don't think it's going to make it into the bearish control zone. And the reason why I think it's going to probably go towards the edge of the bearish control zone is because going towards the edge of the bearish control zone will go below all of these levels of momentum and then put in a hidden bullish divergence. And that hidden bullish divergence will be what we need to push us up on the low time frames to keep the higher time frames bullishness still alive. And we're probably going to go a little bit lower. We are bouncing at the top 38.2%. It does make sense to bounce here. But this bounce, I don't think is going to be the bounce that you're looking for. I think it's probably going to go somewhere closer to the median, right around $14. With 4 hour is now breaking into the bearish control zone, while volatility is now expanding, and the 4-hour jewels giving quite the sell signal, with the pink just now crossing below the yellow in the bullish control zone with a God mode sell signal. You're likely going to see a pretty nice pullback based off of that. And if we were to take it to $14, how much of a pullback is that percentage wise? There. It's about 11% to the downside, double digits, pretty respectable for a 4-hour setup. And we are just like the same idea as the daily, we're breaking these lows on momentum, giving us possible hidden bullish divergence. And as long as we are closing over about $12.70, we will have that hidden bullish divergence possible. That's what's likely going to take us towards $20. Now let's go to the RSI. Please excuse the wind chimes in the background. Monthly on Rivian on the RSI has multiple drives of bullish divergence confirmed. Pretty big. Although you are at monthly resistance right at this 21 EMA. If you can close over this 21 EMA, you're going to take out your last major lower high, and you're going to have a change in structure in Rivian, and it's going to start shifting from being mega bearish to pretty hopeful to reversing trend. Because if you can close over this 21 EMA, you're probably going to retest somewhere around this $27 area. And then this is the area where if you can close above, you reverse the macro trend, and you're probably going to retest the macro breakdown somewhere around this zone here in the $100 area. And that is like I can't do the math, but like a 6 or 7x on price from here where we are right now.
Yep.
One day is going to be trading in the $100 zone. Bodhi's going to have made several millions of dollars, and we're going to be like, where's Alejandro at? He's not responding.
At least I've made myself clear about this.
And just it's gonna be me and Alex waiting for the link for the live stream. And be like, where's he at?
The fuck out of here.
2 week currently has active hidden bullish divergence. 2 week and monthly now has divergence is active. And the 2 week is going to be active as long as you're closing over $10.36. And your next move on the and you're coming from such low levels of volatility too, right at 15%. And your next move on the divergence is going to be the critical zone. Considering you're at 17%, that's pretty easy to do. And the critical zone at the moment sits at $36. It's going to move down. I think it's probably going to move towards the 20s, which is going to be our first major level of resistance. And from there, we probably consolidate. And even if we're going to be super bullish, probably consolidate at the area for a little bit. If we're bearish, we'll just reject and we'll move down probably like 15% on that same day. But if we're bullish, we'll probably consolidate in the area between somewhere in mid 20s to the high teens, and then get your next busting action. Weekly currently also has bullish divergence active, and your next target is the bullish control zone at about $16.85. And then your next target is $27 for the critical zone. And weekly is firing off a volatility setup below 15%. 5-day also has the hidden bullish divergence. 5-day target would be about $17. 2-day, no, that's been invalidated. Let's see, yeah. 4-hour currently has many drives of bearish divergence in play. 3 drives. It's going to be active as long as you're closing below about $15.82. And your next target is the neutral zone, which sits at about, beautiful, $14.81. Very bias fitting. Now let's shift for the momentum. It looks very god awful on the quarterly. Monthly is now freshly flipped to the upside with the bullish divergence, and it's going to be pointed up as long as you're above $11.56. 2 week is also freshly flipping to the upside. Volatility is now about to start expanding. You're rejecting the bearish control zone, and you're going to be flipped up above 1176. Weekly is also positioned to the upside with the volatility setup, and you're going to be pointed up above 1188. It's very bullish to see this pivot so low. 5 days also getting a volatility setup with the momentum to the upside, and it's going to be pointed up above 1187. 2 days currently also positioned to the upside. However, it will flip down on this closure. We did close below 1593. So 2 days now is going to open to the downside. And we want to see what this pivot is, because as of right now, the pivot is 1593. This is going to update tomorrow when it opens. So daily is already positioned to the downside. Definitely what's going to happen with the 2-day when it opens, because we closed below that pivot, and we are pointed down on the daily as of now below $17. But this pivot is going to change whenever it opens tomorrow. And the 4-hour is positioned pretty heavily to the downside and pointed down below 1666. But we want to see what the pivot is when it opens tomorrow. So the high time frames on Rivian are now shifting from mega bearish to actually possibly being bullish. Momentum is pointing up on the monthly. You're getting many drives of bullish divergence on the monthly. You're getting many drives of hidden bullish divergence on the 2 week. You're getting a volatility setup with that. If we do get that monthly close over the 21 EMA, it's going to take out your previous lower high. And then I'm looking at the macro lower high we have right now. It's sitting somewhere around $27. If you can, which is also the target of the bullish divergences. Pretty interesting to see that. And if you can start reclaiming that $27 area, I want to say like on a weekly close, if you want to be conservative, or a daily close, you want to be aggressive, then I would say you're probably going to go somewhere around $100. But as of right now, we are looking for somewhat of a pullback because the low time frames are positioned to the downside. 4-hour has a bearish divergence, many drives of it. I would say somewhere around that median at around $14 to $14.60, probably going to hit somewhere around there, which is also going to be a retest of that fresh silver cross that we have. And it's very, very likely you're going to make your way into the 20s after that. So short term, a little bit of a pullback, and then I expect tests of the 20s, close over 27, then you're probably in the next year or two make your way towards 100.
Perfecto. Yeah, it'll be glorious. It'll be fucking glorious. Sorry, this is a paper.
It'll be so glorious. Oh, Bitcoin is getting a nice rejection.
Can I also say something? The
Mhm.
everything that we just talked about with the peso, dollar, and all that stuff will mean that Bitcoin will have a blow off top too, just like the other currencies when the dollar finally has that leg down, which also validates the fact that they should keep pumping until a certain point, and then we're going to see the bear markets of all bear markets on Bitcoin after.
Oh, and imagine if we give a short signal on that too.
That'd be
Very
imagine.
swell.
Because I
Oh,
think that's going to be something that will surprise a lot of people. Because if the dollar is going to go to 120, about 120, and we saw what he did on 2022 when he just went to 112, I think that's going to fucking destroy everyone that's not ready for it in everything, which would make sense now. And it'll follow up with like the Rivian model, like the Rivian numbers, Tesla numbers that I'm seeing, all that stuff.
Mhm.
So
And
that
if
could
you
be
go
it.
based off of the 18.6-year cycle, 2026 is when you should have your next major crash.
That's also another one that I would support and feel like that's happening, son. That's
Because
happening.
it's exactly 18 years after 2008.
Yeah, crazy, right?
And it works. For some reason, it works.
I know it's fucking scary, but it is what it is. It'll be fun
So
for us.
ETA will be going short everything in 2026.
That's right. Late 2025, first quarter 2026. We gotta be on the lookout. That's what Forex is telling me.
But the beauty of that market is you can just blindly short any bounce and you'll make money.
Yeah, and can I say this also? This also is important to note because that leads to no time whatsoever before the crash for meme altcoin season, alt season, which is something that everyone's expecting. Yeah, we shouldn't see one. I mean, you can see the altcoins pump and rip again, and just like
Yeah,
they
probably
did
gonna
right
be
now, like a
certain
mini rip.
coins.
Yeah, I mean that's still on the table, but like what everyone calls and knows as alt season, when NFTs are worth $10,000 as a bottom, like as a floor, that I don't think that's coming.
Yeah, probably not.
Not right now. Not before the crash.
Although, and I noticed how you mentioned meme coins. What I love about the meme coins and the altcoins is how the people in the altcoins think that they're somehow better than the people with the meme coins when they're all trading worthless Ponzi's.
It's the same shit, yeah. Except to you, they sold you that this one does more than the other one.
It's more sophisticated.
Yeah, dude. Like aside from paying people to hold the network open, what do you need the token for? Nothing. If you just
Nothing.
nothing. If you just transacted on USDT units on every single blockchain, you would just have what it is, a fast way of sending money from one place to another. And the price of the token is irrelevant. So
Yeah,
it's
don't ever ask XRP community members why they would need the token even if it became the world reserve currency.
well, they think their token is gonna turn into dollars. It's somehow gonna be worth it. That one is one of my greatest, one of the funniest stories that exists in the world.
Because
I
right
think.
now, like JP Morgan, all these US banks are working on a dollar stablecoin. Even if they use one of the chains, probably not going to use one of the chains, but they're not going to use one of their tokens.
No, they're gonna use. When I was in Andorra, I talked to a bunch of people that run banks and whatnot. What they're all gonna do is you're just gonna have a Bank of America, like a USDT Bank of America, USDT Chase, USDT Wells Fargo, and they'll be able to transact like that. Like it's just gonna be based on the same principle as Tether on all of them. This is why when people say, "What's the name of the coin that makes everyone, the politicians are like saying, the Fed coin, or what are they called? Damn it, digital currencies, the
Yeah.
CBDCs."
Yeah.
that everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to be there for these currencies and CBDCs, and they're so evil. And even I think the European Union came out today and they were like, we're getting ready for the CBDC, and everyone's like, no, our freedoms. They just think that one day they're going to turn on a button that says, hey, this is now what we use, instead of what's happening to cash. How long has it taken for them to get rid of cash and take everything into digital? Decades.
Yeah, nowadays, if you want more than 5,000 in cash, they're gonna ask you so many questions.
Yeah. So now this is going to take decades, but it's going to be through stable coins, so that you don't even think that the government has control, because people don't understand that private companies, and especially those led by Peter Thiel, absolutely work for the government, with the government, and blah, blah, blah. So there you go. So the stable coin thing is a nice way of scaring everyone and giving YouTubers nice thumbnails. The CBDC is coming. And then politicians can use it as, I will protect you and we will never have CBDCs. But Tether's fine. Don't look at Tether. I know it's Peter Thiel. I know it's treasuries. I know it's the same people from the banking. No. Don't look at that. That's not a CBDC. That's Tether. Retards. Unbelievable how no one learns anything. But if I was them, after seeing all of this, I would also fuck people over like that.
You know who's a
Because
bigger retard though?
no one can do anything. What?
The people on Twitter who are still saying Tether's a fraud and it's gonna go to zero.
Those people. There's a lot of hilarious things going on. You can't deny it. That's all I'm going to say. Let me get to Rivian, and we'll do Roblox and call it a day. We're gonna end early today because there's no one here, motherfuckers, and everything is closed. Ok. Vale. Estamos viendo Rivian, damas y caballeros. Rivian, ya saben, una de las tablas, una de las favoritas del tío Salo. Disculpen que esté hablando de mí en esa forma. Ok, aquí lo estamos viendo, y para simplemente simplificarlo un poco, vamos a hacer esto. Vamos a hacer un ejercicio chido. ¿Qué tenemos por acá? Mayo, o podemos decir mayo, abril, ¿no? Esto es mayo, abril. ¿Qué tenemos por acá? Tenemos agosto, julio, ¿no? Esto es agosto y julio del año, vale. Luego, después tienes la caída una vez más. Esto ocurre de diciembre, básicamente de septiembre hasta abril. Una vez que llegas a abril, en el 2023, mayo, ¿qué ocurre acá? Julio, casi agosto, también acá. Esto fue el 2022. Esto es el 2023. Esto es, una vez más, top en diciembre. ¿Qué pasa después del top en diciembre? La caída, ¿hasta dónde? Hasta mayo. Y ahí tienes julio del 2024. 2024. Donde pueden ver que a Rivian le encanta hacer 2 rips al año. 2. Lo vieron acá, lo estás viendo acá, lo estás viendo acá. Diciembre, una vez más, solamente para validarlo. Diciembre, la caída, marzo, abril, y ahora hasta julio deberíamos de estar entrando en una zona rica. ¿Pueden ver lo que estoy diciendo? Esto es el mismito ciclo una y otra vez, y la razón por qué se repite de esta forma, para todos los que tal vez crean que es magia o qué pedo, qué es lo que está pasando, es más fácil de explicar de lo que se imaginarían. La razón por qué pasa esto es por temporalidades de ventas de coches. Punto. Nada más. Tesla hace lo mismito y por eso son tan fáciles de leer. Me mama la gente que lo complica más. Saludos a todos ellos. ¿Qué estamos viendo con Rivian? Habíamos tenido esta tendencia bajista. Tenemos oficialmente el primer breakout. Además, después de haber hecho estos mínimos más altos. ¿Ok? Mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto. Y esto fue lo que a mí me abrió los ojos de tal vez no vamos a ver los 8 antes del RIP del año, que estábamos logrando. Esto se los comenté en esta zona, por ahí de febrero. Y ahora estamos aquí arriba. Ahora, la pregunta es, ¿a dónde vamos siguiente? Siguiente objetivo deberían de ser los 18.8, 18.85. Yo personalmente creo que sí rompemos esto esta vez, simplemente por la fuerza, y de aquí a julio podríamos visitar los $22. Este va a ser mi objetivo por ahora en este rally, antes del rally de diciembre. El rally de diciembre normalmente es más apagado. Vean, julio, octubre, noviembre. Aquí está el rally de diciembre de este año. Luego tienes julio, pum, 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 septiembre, octubre, noviembre, diciembre. Aquí tienes el rally de diciembre. Aquí quedó. Puedes ver cómo es menor que el de antes. Y ahora tienes el pompazo de julio. El pompazo de julio es el duro y el pompazo de julio nos debería llevar acá. Y el pompazo de el próximo, bueno, el próximo año va a ser diferente por todo lo que estamos viendo en Forex, pero por ahora este va a ser mi objetivo. Vamos a analizarlo más de cerca. Pueden ver que estamos, voy a poner la mensual, es bastante pesado ponerla mensual en este gráfico, tiene muy pocos datos. Y también disculpen todos los dibujos, pero este es uno de los gráficos más precisos que tengo. Hemos visto que Rivian tocó máximos históricos en $180, casi para toda la pobre gente que compró ahí. 180 es lo que fue. Por ahora estamos agarrando y por fin tuvimos un cierre por encima del 9 y ahora estamos teniendo un segundo con continuación en esta vela mensual. Faltan 4 días y 4 semanas. Recuerda que el mercado está cerrado hoy para cerrar esta vela. Si esta vela logra cerrar aquí tal cual como está o hasta acá abajo, podrías irte hasta los 13.41. Arriba de los 13.41 debería de dar continuación al rally. ¿Dónde dices estamos absolutamente quemados? Acá. Si llegas a perder esta zona en los 13, ¿qué son? 13.30, vas para abajo. Es así de fácil en Rivian. Esto lo que deberíamos hacer es chopear. Voy a prender el HPDR, vamos a verlo. No sé qué tantos datos tenga acá, pero pueden ver exactamente. Vamos a chopear, estamos en la parte alta. Vamos a ver cómo abre el próximo mes, pero estamos en la parte alta. Llegamos al 100% en el HPDR y eso te debería decir que continuación no había muchas probabilidades. Vamos a la de 2 semanas a ver cómo se vería eso. 2 semanas solamente estamos en la parte alta de la zona azul, tuvimos el rechazo del 61.8% y ahora estamos acá. Siempre y cuando podamos aguantar esta zona, deberíamos de poder dar otro retesteo a esta zona en los 17.42 para el 61.8% y dar continuación. ¿Por qué no una vez más? ¿Cuál es la zona donde nos caemos? Aquí justamente en la de 2 semanas lo puedes ver, tienes el promedio del 9 y el 21. El 9 está por encima del 21, es el azul por encima del amarillo. Esto me indica que hay fuerza en el precio de Rivian. La media apuntando tan fuerte y agresivamente a la alza en esta nueva sesión, me gusta y quiero ver dónde va a abrir ahora. Siguiente objetivo van a ser los 17.40. Semanal, tienes este zampompazo que viene acompañado de este setup de volatilidad, lo que te dice que todavía puede continuar. Solamente está en 45%. Si no estoy equivocado, viene el setup de volatilidad más fuerte de toda la historia. Es correcto. No has llegado a ningún lado todavía donde vayas a encontrar resistencia y volatilidad. Normalmente esto no funciona, pero tienes más camino para arriba, hasta el 50%. Estás en 45% por ahora. Esta volatilidad nos debería de ayudar. Bueno, ya nos llegó hasta el 88.3%, el 95% justamente está en los 18, que es la siguiente línea meme. Yo creo que no es lo que creo, lo que necesitamos es, vamos a ver cómo abre esto, me imagino que todo esto va a subir y necesitamos chopear. Diaria habías tenido el cero de volatilidad, llegaste casi al 100% y estás chopeando. Esto te dice y te valida la demás idea. Lo siguiente de la idea. Pueden ver que la parte baja de la zona azul hasta el 61.8% es más o menos donde está el EMA 100, que fue lo que oficialmente nos rompió a la alza. Es lo que creemos. Más allá del EMA 100, creemos que podríamos regresar a retestear esta zona antes de dar el siguiente chingadazo para arriba. Y la razón por qué es porque siempre lo hace Rivian. No hay de otra. Esto te dejaría que todo esto chope, que los niveles suban y que puedas tener una explosión a la alza. Estás viendo el precio de Rivian en este momento está en 15.63. Primera zona de oportunidad van a ser los 15 planos. Segunda zona van a ser los 14.69 y tercera por ahí de los 14 planos o 13.50. Ahí es donde podrías encontrar, hasta los 13, donde podrías encontrar oportunidades de entrada. Personalmente, yo creo que no vamos a bajar de los 13.50, tal vez en un Wikazo, y esa sería la oportunidad perfecta. Pero por ahora, Rivian empieza a pintar muy bien. Como dice Farhan, voy a poder retirarme a hacer todo tipo de streams otra vez y luego voy a regresar para hacer más porque me estoy volviendo loco otra vez porque no tengo nada que hacer y los veré de vuelta. Ahorita lo que creo es, vamos a ver un poco de esto, un poco de esto, un poco de esto, regresar, retestear y bolas, güey, a la alza. Eso es lo que vamos a ver. Todo esto está mal si empiezas a ver cierres por debajo de 13.30. Abajo de 13.30, esta zona para abajo. ¿Ok? Es lo que sería. Y ahora tienes de aquí hasta julio, tal vez agosto, para este pompazo. Entonces, como sabes, si todo se repite siempre, es igual, bla, 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 yo diría, empieza a checar cómo vas en junio, por ahí de mediados de junio, donde está el precio, y vamos a ver principios de julio, porque igual ya acaba antes o igual ya acaba después, por ahí de agosto, lo hemos visto antes. Pero es lo que está pasando justamente en Rivian en estos momentos, bastante fácil, sencillo, sin problema. Vámonos con los Roblox.
Roblox, let me get that going here.
RBLX. It's RBLX, right?
Yeah, RBLX. All right. Well, let's see what this is. Okay. So last time I looked at Roblox, actually, we wanted basically 77, 75 to reject. It was definitely not dumb to assume that. You're at the extremities kind of on the HBDR. You're at a very big spot here on the chart. But now what we're seeing is this scenario is most likely not going to work out. And instead, we're going to SR flip this zone at, $77 and 75 cents into support and possibly consolidate there. We ideally wanted a rejection down, structure, support to hold, and then for that to be what moves us up. So, that's why we like to play level to level with, charts and stocks and whatnot, because it just makes it easier. So now what are we dealing with? Well, we're in a no trade zone. This was great. Bulls got the reclaim, threw it back, and absolutely expanded from that point. Now, all we're doing now is watching and waiting. You want to see how this monthly actually closes because, this monthly closing will lead into the weekly and 2-week, either leading to maybe a bull flag here. What you're noticing is, we have the expansion. Yes, green, but we could easily, before just breaking out, consolidate here and more so bull flags like this before going up. Let's see how the 2-week even closed here. Okay, so not bad. 2-week already got the reclaim. Implications for the monthly, obviously, because the 2-week just reclaimed the zone. You can see here, 2-week reclaimed it here, and that led to a beautiful green dildo candle before we came back down, right? Need the consolidation, couldn't hold support. But again, right here, 2-week reclaimed it, held it, and then on the basically third candle here, expanded nicely. But again, just couldn't hold this region. And so, how we can interpret the zone is, this is the next area of support is $77.75. You can easily draw a meme line here and use this wick high as well. So now you have like a mini range, $77.70 to like $75.68. Gonna need this to hold. First spot will be $77.70, maybe extremity low here. But you basically need this region to hold. If you start losing it, you could theoretically go down, right back down to like 67s and actually test closer to that 2-week 9 in the weekly 21 here. But I don't think it's illogical to look for some consolidation, slight consolidation here before possibly even going up to that $93 region. That to me is the next zone, $93. If we don't roll over here. And that's just shown in this range, like I was showing before back in 2021. $77 would hold. You would literally slingshot up to 90s. So, that ideally now will hold true, and this will just play into the new range. Strong chart, though. Very strong chart. I think Farn was talking about this 2 months ago, talking about a move up, and well, it definitely didn't disappoint. Monthly 9 perfectly held. And now what we're doing is, well, we're just in a monthly uptrend. We have that higher high break. So now, as long as this is macro view, but staying above $50, that's good. This isn't just a monthly uptrend, posturing with support of the daily 9. So here's to see where the 5 is. Can't be too much higher. Oh, so yeah, that's basically what caught us into this month was that 5. Whenever you see a 5 versus a 9, the 9 kind of is my spot I like to use, but some traders will use the 5 and the 9, right? The 5 will show absolute strength if you just simply reject or expand off the 5, that strength. It's just similar to here when we broke down, couldn't even reach the 9. Instead, rather, you rejected the 5, and then this led to a major move down. Here on the flip side, you held the 9, you lost the 5 here. So then that would have told you, okay, well, now I need to look to the 9. You held that, you reclaimed the 5, and then here you expanded nicely off of it, just showing strength. So, at my best case here, I think maybe pull back to like 75, 70 to retest this wick, flip that into support, consolidate before maybe moving up to 93s, 94s. Let's see how so we already looked at the HBDR. Let's see where the median's at. Yeah, right around that $50 mark. Huh. Can't even use this anymore. That's crazy. I mean, 1, 2, 3.
Shit's going to 100.
What is that? 14 months of straight up. That can't be 14. I'm so bad at math. No, it's 2. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's 2. Wow. I'm like, that doesn't look like 14. Oh wait, no, it's 2. Yeah. That's strong. You really can't even say it's not. Like, next level really does look like 93s and 94s. Reclaim that. Yeah, I mean, you could easily just take, it's just like what we're doing here on the lows, just take the wick high. Okay, now you've like the 103s. And then like you want a new macro high. Okay, cool. Bulls have made it very hard for themselves with this wick. Got to break that. But I really don't know if we're going to fill that out on first go. I mean, this is just insane strength. Rather so you could see something like this where, okay, on the lower time frames, you get that back test around 76, 77, maybe 75, 70, retesting that wick high. And then you move up, and then here, you just start consolidating for a minute. That would be really
You know what
good.
that would make? A beautiful
What?
United States pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. So that would be great, actually, because this isn't like good in the sense that like it's strong, there's strength, it's great, but like you're gonna get a pullback eventually. Now, do I think the pullback's gonna do this? And then no, I think this could be the new range confirmed on this 2-month, and then we easily can move up, long as they're gonna really start getting horny for that 100, and then we just keep smacking down and just consolidating. That then can start resetting lower time frame BBWP, and this would actually be a pretty big range, 20% too. That's definitely tradable. And maybe that's what causes the weekly to hit extremes, is actually going up to that 93.75 before a pullback. Pullback and consolidation can reset these again. But, then the 2-week looks like that. I'm like, no setup though. There's not a BBWP setup. You're just looking at the moving average here. It's interesting because last time we broke back above there was here. Before we basically moved up. We're at 40, so almost a 2x from that point. Pretty insane. Breaking back above the moving average above all EMAs here that I look at. Yeah, strong. So for me now, it's like very easy. You want this wick high to be the extremity low. Ideally, $77.70 will be support now. We can play within this range. Even in this zone here, we had breakouts, consolidation, we very easily can just do this scenario. And I do think as long as we're holding above $77.70, 93 to 94 will be next. I don't think we're going to break that first tap, but could easily be wrong. I was wrong on the pullback scenario here. But I just feel like we could fill some of this out, flip this bottom wick, like what we're doing, into resistance, and then play into this range, solidify it, and then reset BBWP on like the weekly. Let's check the 5-day. Okay, so it's getting up there too. Weekly, 5 days getting up there. What about the 15-day? Gonna hit extremes there soon, approaching it at least. 3-day as well. 2 days rolling over. So it's like, yes, could go up a little bit more as shown on the weekly. You had a valid setup here. You had it expanding. It's at 73% now. So could go up a little bit more. And that kind of ties into my idea, which is probably see a little pullback into this new weekly, 2-week, maybe into the month. and then that should move us up, and the 93.90s to 94 should give us some resistance. You're either then just going to retest this again and break out, or in my opinion, you're probably just going to consolidate here for a few months. That would be the most bullish scenario, in my opinion, because that then gives us another volatility setup that solidifies a new range, and it doesn't give us pump and dump vibes where this just sends up, as shown here on like the 2 week, where we're just going straight up. Instead, we're now just in a new range, consolidating, and even getting potentially United States pattern here, which is a cup and handle. So yeah, good chart. It's a good way to end off. This is looking strong. I think it can go up a little bit more, but this, again, after a nice epic move up like this, it's just not the zone to really be getting aggressive. You want to be watching here your resistance, maybe for a short. You have two areas, and you want to be looking for your longs, and you have two areas right here, $77.70, or using February 3rd's wick high into resistance, flip into support. Very logical to me. It's very to the book. Here, though, does not constitute a trade. You're just in the middle. At very minimum, wait for a pullback. Then you can at least trade that on like the daily. If the daily doesn't hold, let's say the 21, you start losing that, deviating this. Okay, great. Maybe that was it. Locally topped, you have the SFP, and then you can put in the bearish retest short. But we don't really front run those things. Instead, we just want the trigger, and then we get the trade. So
very nice. Very, very nice in motherfucking deed. And yeah, this is like a United States pattern within a United States pattern, because this is on the daily. And this is the move that we measured and should take us to 100. So this is just a little nice consolidation. This we did last week, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And that's good confluence. Like, you know, I still think a little higher too. And the 90s are calling, you know, Roblox name, and we could easily go there. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to break that first tap. That'll be the big part.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's to be seen. But once you break this and get to 126, 127, now the major one of these plays out. And then this shit is going to go, once it's up there, and obviously it's going to take some time, right? Let's just go here. There you go. Oh, wait. Let's just use the green candle. Let's not fucking get greedy. Let's not get greedy. $250.
But then again, you're seeing the strength of this. And
yeah, it should. And also the business fundamental and this bullshit. There's nothing like it. And all the kids are spending all of their parents' money on it. Right?
The margins are insane probably on this too.
Digital assets, baby. You have barely any overhead. You can sell them 1,000,000 times, and you can be a broker, and people buy and sell things within. So yeah, it's an economy within a digital world, which is
the Fibonacci target is pretty ridiculous. If you take it from the all-time highs to the all-time lows, it's about $452.
Interesting. $452. Wait, am I doing
switches
this
to the
right?
monthly?
It's the other one. Yeah.
Hang on.
And take it from the wick high to the wick low. And then the 1.618%.
Yeah. And then 215, 216, 336, 457. That's it.
The 250, that 215 is your first target.
That was my first. Yeah. That's crazy. And then the last one is $500. Wild.
I don't know. I don't know what the market cap of Roblox is to say what it would be at that point, but probably not that high right now, and probably can go that high.
Well, right now it's 55 billion. So if it does basically a 10, like let's say 5x, that's $300 billion, which that's not crazy.
Yeah, not crazy at all.
Somehow that's not crazy in 2025. All righty, boys, you're all set, done. Anything else you'd like to add, look at, say, sing, anything you want, anything, feel free to do it.
Good stream, boys. I posted some Academy trades on Bitcoin today. We have a short running. The idea on that short is a quickie leading to the nice long. So that's the idea. We'll see.
That sounds sexual, which I like. Perfect.
We all love cookies.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your mountain climbing, Farhan.
Oh, I hope I survive.
Me.
I hope you do.
Yes, boys.
Hasta luego and buenos tardes, muchachos.
Hasta luego y buenas tardes, señor. Estamos viendo Roblox. Roblox tiene aquí dos cosas que están jugando. Una, un patrón local de estilo copa y taza, y la segunda es ese, donde se ponen locos los objetivos. Yo creo que no hay razón para entrar en ese tipo de especulación en este momento, por más que lo hayamos hecho ya en inglés juntos. Roblox ha tenido un alto histórico justamente acá, en los $140 en noviembre del 2021, fue cuando salió al mercado. ¿Ok? Desde entonces tuvo una caída bastante brutal, más o menos como lo de Rivian, y se fue a los $21. No como Rivian, porque Rivian se fue a los 8, pero a los $21 y ahora estamos rebotando en 82. Quien compró en los 20 acaba de hacer un 4X en su lana tranquilo, ¿no? Bastante bien. Hasta en 40 hiciste un 2X de tu dinero. Ahora, lo que estamos viendo es la fuerza que lleva el precio de Roblox. Puedes ver que en la mensual, mi promedio del 21 está cruzando ya por encima del 34 que acaba de popular, el 9 está por encima de ellos y nos habíamos agarrado del promedio del 5 para venir a retestear y empujar a la alza. Esto en la de 12 en la mensual. También creo que es importante ponerle HPDR y entender que debemos de consolidar porque esta madre está pero caliente y con todo ya en la parte del 95%. Necesitamos más tiempo para poder dar continuación, aunque ustedes saben, puedes llegar y pintar otro extremo como el que tuviste acá en la parte de acá y simplemente continúa. 2 semanas más tranquila, ya en la parte del 50%, tenemos un setup de volatilidad donde la volatilidad está por fin por encima del promedio, dándose para arriba ante este velazo verde. Y esto es en la de 2 semanas, por encima de la zona azul, llegando al 50%. Siguiente objetivo deberían de ser los 86.30. Ahora, consolidar por encima de los $80 es algo bastante lógico, en mi opinión. Podríamos hacerlo por acá, veamos hasta dónde y ahorita lo analizamos mientras más nos acercamos. Semanal, ya también tenías tu cero de volatilidad, donde la volatilidad te está dando este madrazo de velas verdes, todas una tras otra, pero también en la semanal ya estás en el 97% que te está rechazando. Consolidar por acá hasta el 88.2%, 88.3%, no sería tan loco. Esa zona está en donde, justamente en los 73.90. Interesante. Diaria, volatilidad bajando, perfecto. Y con el movimiento, justamente venimos de la parte alta de la zona azul, tal vez tengamos que consolidar, podríamos aguantar la zona de los 79 y la siguiente zona a aguantar, en mi opinión, van a ser los 75, 76. Ahora, con todo eso dicho, yo creo que es más fácil verlo así. Pueden ver por acá, en lo local, ¿no? Ya vieron el patrón total, que es más o menos como este. Lo habíamos medido antes. Este es un patrón rápido de taza y cup and handle, como se diga en puta madre español, la tacita. Una vez que rompes la parte alta, el movimiento medido está casi llegando a los $100. Se pararía en los 96, 97, pero cuando normalmente estás tan cerca del número redondo como los $100, normalmente vas a por ello. Y pueden ver acá, muy por encima de todos los promedios, cruce plateado aquí abajo, consolidación. ¿Qué estamos esperando? Simplemente consolidación por encima de este wick en los 75.90. Cualquier juego por acá, esto le daría tiempo al precio de no estar sobrecalentado y dar continuación a la alza. No sé qué tan rápido o qué tan lento lo vaya a hacer. Igual y de aquí simplemente te hace esto. No tienes un trade claro acá. Yo no le haría un corto a esta madre acá. Tiene demasiada fuerza y todavía te va a llevar claramente para acá arriba. Lo que yo estaría pensando es, si llega al promedio del 21, voy a comprar cada que llegue al promedio del 21 diario. Porque el promedio del 21 no lo hemos testado en un rato. Pero si lo pongo en la semanal, y lo quiero hacer más interesante, el promedio del 5. El 5, la última vez que lo tocamos, explotamos a la alza. El 9 sería la oportunidad más grande de todas. Yo lo vería en la semanal y pondría 5 o 9, cualquiera de los dos. Cuando el precio lo llegue a tocar, yo agregaría mi posición en long. y ya. Sí, a mi posición en spot. No tienes una invalidación, tu invalidación está muy abajo en los $50, por lo que tradear esto con apalancamiento y todo eso no tiene tanto sentido. Y créanme, yo soy un degenerado y quiero tradear con ustedes todas estas cosas, pero no tiene tanto sentido. Primer movimiento va a ser a 100. Segundo movimiento de los 100 debería llevarnos a los $220, $230 después en el siguiente año, año y medio, para que lo tengan presente. Roblox con mucha fuerza, mucha fuerza. Y como dicen, con fuerza y con ansia se gana en Francia. Esto es algo que me tocó ver tristemente que hacían en la televisión en México cuando yo estaba chico, todavía el Mundial del 98. Estoy hablando, todo era en blanco y negro, los mundiales eran entre humanos y dinosaurios en ese entonces. Y había una canción en México que era Kun. Era un güey que se llamaba Caló, creo. No estoy completamente seguro, pero era con fuerza y con ansia se gana en Francia. Los que se acuerden. Con eso los voy a dejar. Ahorita vamos a una de me preguntó. Les mando un fuerte abrazo. Gracias a todos por unirse por acá. Ya saben que aquí tienen el enlace del Discord por si quieren unirse al Discord, platicar con nosotros por ahí, con la comunidad. Bueno, más bien con la comunidad, apoyarse en ellos. Cualquier pregunta que tengan, ahí lo tienen. También tienen ahí nuestro sitio por si quieren aprender cómo tradear futuros absolutamente gratis. Ahí lo tienen en Tutos. Les mando un fuerte abrazo. Soy su tío Salo. Pórtense bien y nos vemos en un ratito. Gracias. Oye, Graciela.